Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. In my videos, I use both Vedic and traditional Western techniques with tropical astrology, not sidereal astrology. I also use the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis. You can use this video to the best of your advantage by listening to the introduction to understand what the week holds for you, and then going to the timestamps for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get a more personalized forecast for the week ahead. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Welcome, my beautiful YouTube friends. Thank you for joining me for our eclipse season videos. Very exciting. There's 2 videos coming up for you all about eclipse season. And this one is all about the full moon or lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra. It's happening on the 24th of March for everybody located in sort of the Americas, let's say, and some parts of Europe. But here in Australia, where I'm recording from, I'm an Australian, it is happening on the 25th of March. So just so you know where you are in the world, that's how this eclipse series is unfolding. 24th of March for the lunar eclipse in America, 25th of March here in Australia. Now, in this eclipse video, I am going to be talking all about the eclipses. This is going to be a huge video. I'm going to be talking about the nature of lunar eclipses, what they bring us, what to expect, so you can be fully prepared. I'm going to be talking about the general energy of a full moon in Libra. And remember, eclipses are, in this case, it's a full moon on steroids. We get like triple the effect of what a full moon might usually bring us. So we're going to look at what a full moon in Libra is all about. And we're going to look at the chart of this eclipse and all the energies playing into this particular eclipse, what is affecting it, what fixed stars are involved, what other planets are playing into this one. I'm going to check it all out. I'm also going to then talk about the Saros cycle of this eclipse. This is some really meaty work that's been done to look at eclipse cycles throughout the years. Most eclipse cycles are like 1400 years long, and so we're going to be exploring what this cycle has to say to us and what it's teaching us and what it's bringing us. We're going to look at where the eclipse is going to be visible, because in ancient Babylonian astrology that has an effect. Whatever is being impacted by the visibility of the eclipse will have a bearing on what plays out. We're going to explore that as well. And we're going to look at what it will mean if you have key planets at 5 degrees of Libra and how that will then affect you. You're having personal planets interacting in a significant way with this eclipse. And then to conclude this monster video, we're going to be looking at the all signs breakdown, how this eclipse is going to be affecting each and every sign. So as you can tell, big long video, so much to share. Now, if you're a Patreon subscriber, on my Patreon page, the link for that is in the description below, you're going to get an extended all signs breakdown for this report. You will get so much more. So we've got a long report on YouTube, but it's an extra long report on Facebook, Patreon. We're going to be exploring how the eclipse is going to affect you personally in greater depth than I have time to go into here on YouTube. So if you want to join the Patreon family, the link's in the description below. You can join for a month, you can join for a year, you can join indefinitely. I love having my family members there at Patreon. We share astrology each and every month, but you will learn so much about how this eclipse is going to be affecting you, and you will be richly blessed by joining our beautiful Guiding Star Patreon family. And you're also supporting the production of future videos here on this channel by becoming a patron. You're helping me to bring you astrology every week. So I just want to also mention that we are also in equinox zone, like we're under the impact of the new equinox cycle, which is the astrological new year, and I'm offering $100 off my intermediate astrology Royal Stars Academy level. So if you've wanted to study with me, this is a great time to kick off the new astrological year with $100 off for eclipse and equinox season that we are currently in. All you've got to do if you want to study with me and learn astrology is head to the link in the description below to access the syllabus and simply find out more if that's what you'd like to do, or join up and sign up and come study astrology with me and many others who are passionate about the heavens. All right, let's kick it off. There's a lot to get through, so let's make a start. We're going to start by looking at full moon eclipses, otherwise known as lunar eclipses. What do they mean? What do they bring us? Well, full moon eclipses usually trigger events either side of the actual date for about a week before and a week after. That's the standard interpretation. So a week before the 24th or 25th of March, and a week after the 24th and the 25th of March is the standard interpretation of when events related to the eclipse will unfold. We'll see some triggering, some manifestation. That's the usual idea from Western astrology. However, according to my teachers, we actually calculate with a different method to determine when this activation period begins. And it's true that we have actually been in the full moon eclipse activation period since the 12th of March. So that activation period for this particular eclipse, not the solar eclipse that's coming up after this one, but this is the lunar eclipse activation period only. It's been active from the 12th of March and it's going to stay active until the 7th of April. So that's the activation period using the calculations by the sages that have taught me. Keep an eye on any significant events that unfold for you during that time frame. They will be very key events that will play out in what they manifest over the coming 6 months. So we usually get an event that occurs the week, the days before and the days after the eclipse. And then that event causes repercussions that ripple through the coming experiences of life you will have over the next 6 months. There's also a crossover activation period that will occur from the 24th or 25th of March when this eclipse takes place. Then we enter into what's known as the eclipse gateway period. I'm going to talk about the eclipse gateway period in the next eclipse video coming up after this one. So we've got a lunar eclipse video, which is this one, and then following this in a week or two I'm having a solar eclipse video talking about the big one that's known as the Great American Eclipse, because it's going across America. It's a solar eclipse, and I'll also talk in that video about the eclipse gateway, so you don't want to miss that one. But I just want to point out that after this eclipse occurs on the 24th, 25th of March, we will be entering into the eclipse gateway period. Now, interestingly, just before an eclipse occurs, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, doesn't matter, but scientists have recorded that there is always a drop in the Earth's electromagnetic emissions. So you can see science is catching up with what we in astrology have known for years, that there is an actual recordable effect on humanity and on the Earth from the eclipses. Fascinating. Now, in mundane astrology, which is world astrology and world event astrology, lunar eclipses usually affect the masses, the people, the hoi polloi, the populace, whereas a solar eclipse they're much rarer. Fewer people see solar eclipses, and solar eclipses affect the leadership. So this eclipse, which is a lunar eclipse, will be visible from up to 50% of the area of the Earth, meaning that the masses, the populace, are more likely to be affected. And so that's why lunar eclipses represent the masses and effects on the masses and the populace, whereas solar eclipses affect just a narrow little strip and therefore have an effect on the leadership, which is obviously we have fewer leaders than we have masses of populace. So that's how the lunar and solar eclipses affect us in mundane astrology. Now, any changes that come to your life with a lunar eclipse will be caused from the inside out. Inner changes in you beget external changes in your world and in your life as a result of this eclipse. So I want to ask you, in the lead up, seeing as we're in eclipse activation period, what have you been feeling emotionally? What have you been, letting go of? What have you been wrangling with in your inner world since the last lunation, which was the new moon in Pisces, in fact? So whatever is sort of in your psyche, in your system, sort of prominent in your awareness, that is going to be very, very key as an illustration, if you like, or an omen of what you might then feel within you that will manifest externally in the world without out. So it's an automatic principle, as within, so without. And of course, if you're feeling joyful and light and abundant, that's what will tend to manifest in your outer world as a result of this eclipse. If you're in love, if you're happy, if you're just, singing all day, you're going to manifest joy as a result of this eclipse. If you're, a victim, in victim mentality, if you're grumpy, if you're being mean and nasty, if you're being, see the world as out to get you, then that's what you'll tend to manifest. It's as within, so without. The old Hermetic principle is really amplified at eclipse time. Now, some astrological texts indicate that a full moon, lunar eclipse, is felt stronger by people with what we call a nocturnal chart. That means you were born at night. I was born at night, so I have to be more conscious of lunar eclipses. That's where the moon is the more significant indicator than the sun, if you are a nocturnal chart person. The moon is more important as a significator than the sun. So you will feel a lunar eclipse more if you're a night chart person than you will if you were born during the day. In a full moon eclipse, anything that finishes in your life will remain finished and closed to you. There's no going back. So, if you end a job, if you end a relationship, if you end a place of living, if you end a belief system, it's over and done for good. Don't think that you'll be able to revive it or resuscitate it down the road. If something ends as a result of the eclipse during the eclipse activation period that I gave you a moment ago, it's done for good. You won't go back. So the energy of a lunar eclipse is about realigning with your purpose, with the intent that your soul had for incarnation, especially as eclipses are caused by the nodes, which are these two very, very karmic points. And this particular eclipse has been caused by the south node, which is the karma. So there's the letting go of karma, the releasing of karma with the south node, and the north node, which is also part of the eclipse cycle, is about moving into destiny. So anything that is superfluous to your purpose, to your intent, to the reason that your soul incarnated, will tend to be let go of now. If a relationship isn't serving your karmic purpose, if a job is not helping you rise into your destiny, these sort of things can be released and let go of under this eclipse. So remember, my friends, always act with kindness. Act with forgiveness around the time of the eclipse. We should all the time anyway, but especially so during an eclipse, because there's a letting go. Somebody might be letting go of you as their partner or as their friend or as their employee or that sort of thing. There's a letting go that you might be on the end of. Remember, keep in mind, this is for a greater good, for a bigger purpose. You might be the one letting go of somebody else, saying, look, I can't do this relationship anymore, or I don't need to employ you any longer, or I need to leave where I'm living and go live somewhere else. You might be the one that is releasing something else out of your life. So we need to act with kindness and grace and forgiveness, as we would hope to be treated with kindness and grace and forgiveness in our circumstances as well, if we are the one letting go. It's all okay. We're moving into our destiny. That's what eclipses are all about. And remember, we don't owe anyone anything. We don't own anybody. We don't owe anything to anybody other than kindness. We need to allow, and this is me philosophizing, but we need to allow others to be free to live the life they want to live. And we need to be kind to ourselves to allow us to live the life that we need to live as part of our soul's incarnation and seeking the purpose and fulfillment that our soul came in to know. So I just want to reiterate that during eclipse season, it's so important to live with grace and kindness and forgiveness and lightness of being, because things are coming in and out of our life. And the lighter we can hold things, the better we can survive whatever the eclipse will bring us. So we need to allow in what needs to take place. Don't fight it. Go with the flow. That's the mantra for eclipses. Go with the flow. If something is releasing out of your life now, it's the correct time to allow it to go. Now, it can be an emotional time, but remember that life's endings also herald life's new beginnings. You can't have one without the other. Something leaving makes space for something new to come in. So that's another message that eclipses bring us every 6 months. Eclipses often bring some news of big life events that will affect us, and they might, this news might come to us between these dates. Like I said, the 12th of March to the 6th or 7th of April. This is when we might get some special news. So keep an eye on the mailbox, the email inbox, or, the gossip down the street. We might have something revealed to us through some piece of news that we get. Often there might even be a random event that we didn't expect, especially, as this eclipse is falling with the South Node. There can be some event that involves it's over, it's finished, it's releasing. And the South Node carries the energy of Neptune, which is something is being dissolved out of our life. So there could be a random event that's really about letting go, being dissolved, releasing. And it will have the effect of liberating you in some area of life and guiding you back to your truth. So trust whatever, like I said, is being let go of. So it could be a random event, could be a piece of news. Also, during a lunar eclipse, the true character of somebody might be revealed to us for the first time. It mightn't be pretty. We might see a side of the people in our lives that we did not expect to see. So hang on to your hat for that one. You might get a real shock with how some people behave. Pay attention to all events, all news, all gossip, all interactions that happen within the eclipse activation period that I spoke of, because they're going to be important. Now, if this eclipse is falling on your sun placement, if you have the sun at over here at 5 degrees of Libra, if you have your sun there, it's going to be a key year for you, a very important year in your life. This happened to me in 2018. I was sort of forced by the universe to make astrology my full-time career after doing it as a sort of a side business for quite some time. And I am so grateful that happened, actually. It was hard at the time because I lost a job. It was dissolved out of my life and my sort of solid income disappeared. I had a family to support and a mortgage to pay. I was petrified, but it forced me to make astrology my main career, and I haven't looked back. It's been a gift and a blessing and the best thing that ever happened to me, even though at the time it was so hard. So keep that in mind. If an eclipse is falling on your sun placement, it's going to be very powerful and a life-changing year for you. If you're Cancer rising, if you're Cancer sun, or if you're Cancer moon, then you can be more affected by this eclipse, because the moon, which is the major key luminary that is being affected by the eclipse, it's a full moon, that rules Cancer. So if your sun, moon, or rising is ruled, sun, moon, or rising is in Cancer, it is ruled by the moon, you will feel this eclipse so much more. This is a climatic time, as all full moons are, but this one's on steroids, remember. And what unfolds now will be the climax of something that has possibly been building in your life for quite a while. In some cases, the climatic event, the peak point, has been building since the last set of eclipses in this particular Saros cycle that was 18 years ago. We're going to talk about the Saros cycle soon, but I just want to say, as we're wrapping up this section of the video all about lunar eclipses, that there's a climatic peak point that you are reaching now that may have been building for as long as 18 years in your life. So think back to 18 years ago. Where were you? What were you doing? What was significant in your life at that time? You are reaching a culmination point, perhaps with that whatever events were occurring for you 18 years ago. Powerful, powerful time. Let's talk now about the full moon in Libra. What does a full moon in Libra bring us? Well, as I've just mentioned, life is reaching a climatic peak point now, and this happens personally and globally. That's what all full moons bring. This one is bringing it at an amplified level. We're going to be seeing the world with a full moon in Libra. We tend to see the world through eyes of love and grace. It's not a rose-colored glasses kind of overly optimistic energy, but it's a harmonious energy. And we look for love and we look for grace in the world around us. We find it if our eyes are open and looking. So we might experience more beauty in the trees and the wind and the clouds and the flowers. We might experience it in the people around us, where we're seeing more love, we're seeing more kindness, we're seeing more gentleness in the people around us. Libra is this refined kind of energy that wants that, desires that. And so when the moon is full and fully illuminated in the sign of Libra, we can see those things so much more clearly. It's about refining ourselves, being more beautiful ourselves, bringing more elegance into our own life. This is something that full moons in Libra give us the opportunity to do, to refine our own being, to refine our own life circumstances. So often under a full moon in Libra, we might be looking to beautify our home, or revamp our wardrobe, or change our makeup, or enjoy more music, or eat more delicacies and beautiful food. We want to refine our life experiences and who we are as well, to live more graciously. Beautiful energy of full moon in Libra. Sometimes the full moon, which represents as far as we can go with something, it is at its fullness. It is, the moon's not going to get any bigger than what it is under a full moon energy. When that happens, we can sort of realize that we've come to the end of the road with something. We're at a culmination point. And Libra is relationships. So we might realize that under an eclipse or a full moon in Libra, that we have taken a relationship, be it a business partnership, a friendship, a marriage, a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. We've taken it as far as it can go. And we might realize under the illumination of the full moon that we should let go of things, connections, partnerships, collaborations that are no longer serving us. And when we let go of something, we make space for a new love, a new commitment, a new collaboration, a new partnership to enter into our life. So for some people with a full moon eclipse in Libra, manifestation of a connection, of a partnership, of love, of a business collaboration or a new client relationship, any kind of connection and partnership and collaboration with others can manifest as a result of this lunar eclipse and full moon in Libra. Some people might find that under a full moon in Libra, they tend to move to a new level of commitment. You've been boyfriend, girlfriend, you get engaged, or you're married and committed to one another in that way, but you decide, we're going to invest more time into our relationship, our marriage. Some people move to a new height in how they're committed to one another. That goes for business partnerships and, client relationships too. You might have had a client who's a bit sporadic on and off. Maybe, like, say you're a chiropractor and your client comes in once every 5 years or something. Well, that client and his or her relationship with you under a full moon in Libra can move to a new level where now they're coming to see you more regularly, every 4 months or so. They'll pop in for an adjustment or whatever. So even client relationships can move to a new level of commitment. Some people, like I said, will be ending relationships, but the relationships that end under a full moon in Libra will be the ones that are worn out, whose time is done, no need to fight it. The other thing that Libra represents, as I already mentioned, is harmony and balance. And so win-win outcomes are what is possible at the time of a full moon in Libra. We get harmony, we get balance, we get, if you're going your own way and I'm going my way, we're going to do it in a fair and equitable manner, 50-50, away we go. So where everybody ends up being pretty satisfied with the outcome is usually what Libra can bring about. Good old balanced, harmonious Libra. Now it's time to take a look at the chart of this eclipse, and here it is on the astro wheel. So my goodness, what an interesting chart this is. The moon is not out of bounds. Not out of bounds. So she is within her containment. She's within the declination of the sun. We talk a lot about out of bounds on the Patreon family with the moon each month. But you'll notice that in this chart, all the planets are on one side and the moon is out on her own on the other. So she's a singleton, and this is very powerful when we have a singleton. So this eclipse will be powerful simply from that fact alone. It's going to manifest strongly. It's going to manifest sort of like triple the effect because it's an eclipse, but also because the moon, the cause, the force behind this eclipse is on her own as a singleton. She holds all the sway, all the power over more than half the chart. She is responsible for that hemisphere of the chart. That whole hemisphere is under her influence. Planets, remember, are stronger than signs. I'm not going to give you an astrology lesson here unless you want to come and join me at the Royal Stars Academy. We go into all that sort of thing. But all the other planets are all bunched up over here, pretty much between 3, maybe 4 signs. We've got Pluto in Aquarius, and then we've got a stellium of 4 planets in Pisces, giving a lot of Piscean energy to this eclipse. So a lot of going with the flow, a lot of receiving. It's a feminine sign, so just open-heartedness to what the universe wants to bring in, going with the fatedness of this particular eclipse and all the events. Pisces flowing energy is going to be very strong. We've got 2 planets here in Aries and 2 planets in Taurus. So that's where everything else is. The only aspect being formed in this eclipse is actually a trine. You can see it here. There's a trine between Pluto down at 1 degree of Aquarius to the moon at 5 degrees. And I'll put 5 degrees on here so people remember. 5 degrees of Libra. And here is Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. So they are making a very benevolent, beneficial trine. So this eclipse is going to be, I feel, very good. The moon is strong and powerful as a singleton. We've got this sort of flowing Pisces stellium. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. And we've got this beautiful trine with the god of the underworld, Pluto. So what does a trine between Pluto and the moon do for us? How will we be experiencing this during the eclipse activation period and maybe even onwards for the next 6 months? Well, our domestic life can improve, our home life, our family life can just really lift because of this eclipse. We have the ability to easily confront family and domestic issues and find some resolution. So where there's been disharmony and frustration in family life and home life, we can find some balance and harmony now. Fantastic. We're feeling more secure with our family life. We're getting along better with our family, our mother, our father, but also our children as well. Home life, family life is just boosted because of this eclipse. We get along well with women in general. Pluto making an aspect to the moon, which represents the maternal woman, the older woman. Women who've had children usually are represented by the moon. And so those significant people in our life, we are getting along great with as a result of this eclipse. Now, if we have psychological work or therapy to do, and I think probably most of us do, benefit from that from time to time, then we can really deal with our weaknesses and any unhealthy habits really effectively. So if you need to sort of overcome an addiction or some sort of psychological hang-up or something like that, this eclipse and the ensuing 6 months afterwards can be just such a gift to you. It can help you overcome any problems, addictions, behavioral patterns that you are sick of in your life. So use this energy to your advantage. Get the psychological work done, do the therapy. This eclipse is really going to support you. We can feel, because the moon is emotions, we feel more emotionally balanced. Moon in Libra, supported by the beautiful trine from Pluto. And therefore, because we feel harmonious and balanced, life can be more successful. It's the same old thing, as within, so without. Because I feel good, because I feel harmonious and balanced, then life becomes harmonious and balanced. Fantastic energy. Thank you, Pluto trine to the moon. We're more flexible. We're more resilient now because of this trine between Pluto and the moon as well. And that's a gift. It's a real gift, because what comes in to life as a result of this eclipse and what goes out of life, we need to just flow with. Pisces energy, moon, Pluto energy as well. If you are interested in researching sort of occult topics, Pluto represents occult topics, metaphysics, esoteric theory, even astrology, then this is such an awesome time to study and dive deep and research for the next 6 months, because you will just find it easy to understand these things, and enlightenment and sort of psychic downloads about these topics will just come to you and flow to you. So if you've ever wanted to study these things, go for it now, my friends. Come and join me at the Royal Stars Academy. I'm not just saying this because I want you to come and study with me. I'm saying this because that's the energy of Pluto moon. And what better time to come and learn astrology with me at the Royal Stars Academy, which is currently on discount as well. So check it out, my friends, if you haven't already. Now, the moon represents mother figures, maternal figures, and you might find that a mother figure or a maternal figure in your life is becoming very interested in these spiritual topics, this Pluto stuff, astrology, metaphysics, esoteric theory, or the occult. Your mother might suddenly be very, very drawn to those things. You might meet women during this eclipse activation period who are very powerful, very ambitious, and very driven. And those people may have a strong bearing upon your life for the next 6 months. So keep an eye out. Pay attention to who you meet. You really need to trust your psychic promptings as a result of Pluto moon trine. Dreams, omens, these sorts of things are very powerful now. They're speaking to you. So it might pay to have that little notebook beside the bed to write down what comes to you, or when you sit out in the sun and just sort of meditate or, feel a prayer, what's coming to you. It's going to be very profound with this trine taking place as a part of an eclipse. If you are dealing with real estate in a more practical sense at the moment, the moon rules land, real estate, gardens, home life. If you're dealing with selling a property or investing in property, if you're renovating a house or a garden, things can go very well because of this trine to Pluto. You have the power in the situation of buying, selling, renovating, and restoring things with this beautiful Pluto energy. Pluto is also a powerful healing planet. He's a difficult planet. He's full on. If you've watched my Pluto Through the Signs course, you'll know that. But you have the potential as a result of this eclipse to feel powerful healing in your life, because Pluto moon brings powerful healing. So you might want to also help others to heal and cope better with life. Wow, what a fabulous energy. You might be feeling more emotionally deep than usual. You feel things profoundly. You feel things at a very deep psychological level. And you can actually use this for your advantage with this eclipse. Affirmations that you practice now will deeply change your personal vibration and therefore what you can attract into your life. So get some good affirmations going, maybe I expand to meet my destiny, or I trust, I flow, I receive. Open your heart to the universe through your affirmations, lift your energy, and my God, you can really attract in all the good things you want in life because of this trine from the great god of the sky, Pluto, god of the underworld rather, in ancient mythology. He is the god of great wealth as well. And wealth can be many things. It can be, you know, physical money in your hand, but it's the wealth of knowing who we are, the wealth of having power over our own life, and the wealth of being able to choose how our life goes. Very, very powerful planet, Pluto. Relationships can go a bit smoother because of this trine from Pluto, and that's usually because inwardly we feel a sense of well-being. So thank you, Pluto, for that. And just remember, because of this trine to the moon, the eclipsed full moon, because Pluto is playing into this, we have the ability to handle with grace and aplomb whatever the universe sends our way. Beautiful, beautiful energy. So I'm loving the fact that this is the only aspect being formed, apart from the very obvious opposition to the sun, which is what causes eclipses to manifest anyway, when we have an opposition, full moons, when they are opposite one another, the two luminaries, sun and moon, and within proximity of the nodes, that's what causes a lunar eclipse. So the ruler of this lunar eclipse, which is taking place in Libra, is Venus. Venus is over here at 16 degrees of Pisces. She's moving direct. She's in a sign in which she is exalted. And that can make the power of this eclipse very beautiful and benevolent as well. So I am really feeling that this eclipse has a lot of good things to give us. Okay, she's conjunct with Saturn. I've got that in my natal chart. That means that the benefits of this eclipse might take more time to manifest, might take a little longer to be seen. You know, so we meet somebody in the activation period, and the purpose for their meeting us mightn't be known until sort of 6 months down the track, when this eclipse energy kind of wraps up. But that's what we might see, because Venus is in conjunction with Saturn. Venus and Saturn are friends in Vedic astrology, so it's not necessarily going to bring bad things. The other good thing about this Venus exalted and direct in Pisces is that she is also forming a little sextile here with the other benevolent planet, Jupiter. So this can bring wonderful blessing and personal life expansion, or even wealth, to anybody who's got personal planets here involved in this eclipse. Because if you've got a personal planet, let's say you've got your sun at 5 degrees of Libra, the dispositor of that sun is Venus in exaltation sextile to Jupiter. You can receive a gift from the universe, blessing from the universe as a result of this. So this eclipse can be very, very powerful for a lot of people in a really positive, beautiful way, I have to say. Very pleased to tell you that. Now, you heard me mention earlier about the Saros cycle. Lunar Saros series are about 800 years long. They begin at the equator, and they contain about between 45 to 47 eclipses per series, whereas solar Saros series that work in the same family group as the lunar Saros series, the solar series are about 1400 years long, and they begin at the North Pole or the South Pole. So outside an orb of 12 degrees and 15 minutes from the nodes, a lunar eclipse cannot take place. So we only get a lunar eclipse when we have either a full moon within 12 degrees and 15 minutes of the nodes. This particular eclipse is it's a fairly loose full moon eclipse, I've got to say, because the eclipse is occurring 10 degrees over here from the south node. So they're reasonably far apart, another 5 degrees, and this wouldn't have been a lunar eclipse. So, or even another 2 to 3 degrees, it wouldn't have been considered a lunar eclipse. So, yeah. Lunar eclipses, they have their own, as I've just said, Saros series, 800 years long. Although information on the astrological lunar eclipse Saros series is very hard to find. So you can search and search and search online. You are very unlikely to find anything about the lunar Saros series. You'll find heaps about the solar Saros series. Lunar Saros series, very difficult to find. And I just want to point out, NASA Saros series are completely different to the astrological Saros series of eclipses, okay? Nothing to do with each other. So, however, lunar eclipses are still part of the solar eclipse Saros family, And this particular set of eclipses began on May the 17th, 1501, and it's not going to finish until June the 23rd, 2745. So big, long series of eclipses. And this series of eclipses repeats every 18 years. Not every 19 years. That's the metonic cycle. That's something very different. There's eclipses form a part of either a Saros series and a metonic series. This is not the metonic that we're talking about for those who know their in-depth astrology. So the Saros series will always repeat every 18 years, and it carries the energies of the initial eclipse and the chart of the initial eclipse. So in this, the original chart of this particular series, Uranus was squaring the eclipse. And so what did that mean? That means that it was full of surprises and shocks and sudden events that we didn't expect, that we didn't see coming. And that then plays into what unfolds during this eclipse set as well, because it's part of the same family. We can also be very inventive. We might have sort of genius, aha, epiphanies and ideas now. Intuitive leaps happen. We move ahead in like a big bound as a collective and personally in life too. We get insights, we get good ideas, we get visions, we get vivid dreams. That actually corresponds with what Pluto's doing, the vivid dreams and the psychic downloads. So powerful in that sense. Unfortunately, though, the square from Uranus can put a strain on private life. Keep in mind, though, that's the eclipse Saros family giving that effect. You can also have harmony in your private life because of the trine from Pluto. So we've got two contradictory energies happening in the astrology there. I would suggest that means that for some people, you're going to be more influenced by the Saros series. For anybody who does not have personal planets involved with the eclipse, you're more likely to feel the Saros series energy, more overarching. If you have personal planets hooking into this 5 degrees of Libra, well, you're going to be much more personally affected by the trine from Pluto right now, and that is also going to be felt more strongly. That the Pluto energy will be felt more strongly by you if you have personal planets involved in this eclipse. But for all of us, the Saros series is going to bring us a need for freedom, a wanting to break free, break out of the rut, break out of the cycle that we're in, and experience life that is more authentic and true and liberated. Very interesting. It's going to be a fascinating eclipse to watch. Now we're going to look at where the eclipse is going to be visible and what this means. So I'm going to show you some footage from a website called Time and Date. Here we are with a map of the countries that are going to be able to see this eclipse. And as you can see, it's a vast majority of the Earth that is going to be exposed to this eclipse. Let's press play and we'll see how the eclipse unfolds. So you can see how the moon is going to be shadowed. And this is the area it's going to be visible from. And of course, in this pink image here, you'll see where. Let's just play that one more time. So all the way across the Americas, it's going to be visible, and obviously the west of Africa, and then Eastern Australia and the Pacific Islands are also going to be able to see it. So if you're in any of those countries, you do stand a chance of being influenced by the effects of this eclipse more so than the countries that are not. And obviously the countries here in white are the countries that are not going to be exposed to this eclipse. India, China, Russia, Eastern Europe and Scandinavia, and of course Eastern Africa. So that's just a rough Western Australia as well. That's just a rough look at where the eclipse is going to be visible. And in ancient Babylonian times, it was believed that the countries that could see an eclipse, you know, wherever you were on Earth, if you could see the eclipse, you would be affected by the energies of that eclipse. So that's worth keeping in mind if you're into researching eclipses. I'll play it one more time. There we are. I love this little cartoon. It's showing how much of the moon is going to become shadowed as well, which is quite a substantial amount. So there we have it, my friends. So that's a fascinating little piece of footage to observe where the eclipse is falling. Before we get to my discussion of planets in your personal chart interacting with this eclipse, I want to just talk about the fixed star that's at this point. There is a fixed star, it's a very faint one in the sky, but there's a fixed star at 4 degrees and 31 minutes of Libra, and it's called Zodiac. Now, Zodiac has the nature of Venus and Mercury. So if you happen to have your Venus and Mercury, and we're going to talk about these shortly, Venus or Mercury at around 5 degrees, give or take only a 2-degree orb, if you have Venus or Mercury there, you're going to feel the energy of this star manifesting as a result of this eclipse. And what a blessing that is. Zodiac, according to the ancient sources I've read, is a very fortunate star. It gives fortune, so profitability, money, fortunate opportunities that come your way. It's very lovable, so it creates a lovable energy. It means you can be loved. It's refined, as is the nature of Libra in which it resides, in the tropical system, and it's an honorable star. So it gives dignity and honorable circumstances, honors to you if you're having this triggered by the eclipse. So very powerful if you, as I said, have Mercury or Venus here. And I would also say if you have your natal moon or your natal sun here as well, it's a powerful combination. In fixed star astrology, basically the 4 angles and any of the two luminaries at a point of a fixed star will give manifestation of that fixed star's influence. Plus, in this case, because it's ruled by the nature of Mercury and Venus, those 2 planets being there as well. So now with that in mind, knowing that this is some of the energy, and it's a beautiful energy that can manifest as a result of this eclipse, let's move through each of the planets and what they might bring us at, if we have them at this degree, 5 degrees or thereabouts of Libra, chiming in on the eclipse energy. Do you have planets around 5 degrees of Libra? If you do, they're going to be being activated now. And the full moon energies of this lunar eclipse will bring to the fruition and bring culmination to something that we've planted previously. Now, we might have planted an idea or a friendship or an opportunity, a career opportunity, or established a project or invested some money or something. We might have done that 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, when we last had, so 2 weeks ago was when we last had a lunation, which was the new moon in Pisces. 6 months ago was when we last had a new moon in the sign of Libra. And 1 year ago, could have established something then, when we last had a full moon in Libra. Those time frames are what we work with when we're seeing the fruition. So what you planted 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago can be coming to fruit now, can be bearing fruit for you to pick and enjoy. And for some of us, as I've already mentioned, something you planted 18 years ago might be fruiting for you now. So if you had a child 18 years ago, then that child is now reaching its maturity, 18 years old. You know, that's when we consider, in Australia anyway, young men and women to be becoming responsible adults. It's one Saros cycle coming to a fruit. That's an example. So if you have planets at 5 degrees of Libra, and for this eclipse energy, you need to have a planet or an important point in your chart within 2 degrees of that 5 degree Libra point. If you want to, you can consider also 2 degrees squaring 5 degrees of Libra, or within 2 degree orb trining 5 degrees of Libra, or opposing 5 degrees of Libra, although nothing will be as powerful as the conjunction with the full moon, I have to say. Okay, so that's the kicker. The orb must be very tight for a true effect to be felt in the eclipse. So if you do have planets at that point, I think my Pluto is at that point, that'll be very interesting, then the fruit that you planted 18 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, 2 weeks ago is blossoming for you now. Let's go through all of the planets and talk a little bit about what they might be manifesting. The sun. The sun if you have the sun here and the full moon is occurring on your sun placement, then you are reaching a culmination point or a fruiting point or the fruition of something to do with sun energy. And sun energy is generally all about our career. It's all about, how we shine in the world, our confidence, how we, shine who we are. The sun is the luminary that we all, no sun in the sky, we don't have any light, not even the moon. The moon only reflects the sun's light. So the sun, therefore, has reference to how we shine our confidence and shine our personality and shine our being on the planet in the incarnation we're in. And so there's some fruit that's going to allow you to either, grow in career or be more of a celebrity, be recognized, be seen, take on a garment of more confidence, put yourself out there in some way that maybe you haven't had the courage to do before. So this eclipse energy can bring some manifestation of confidence, manifestation of popularity, manifestation of celebrity, manifestation of career growth. In that sense, it can be very powerful. Now, remember I gave a story just a little moment ago about when I had an eclipse on my sun, I lost a job. Okay, I lost the career that was paying the bills. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it pushed me more into my destiny of being an astrologer for you lovely folk online and for all my clients. So that seemed like a loss of my career and the way I was currently showing up in the world, and really was a loss to my confidence as well for that situation to have happened. But ultimately it led to greater self-confidence, it led to a greater career, it led to celebrity and much better things, celebrity within reason, my friends. But everything that the sun represents was what ultimately manifested over the course of the next 6 months. So that's an illustration. They're the themes of the sun. There could be a loss that will lead to a blossoming and a fruiting. Okay, so the events are now with the eclipse, but the effect of those events will be felt over the next 6 months, and that will be the fruiting, that will be the blossoming. Hope you're getting the picture of how eclipses work. If you have the moon at 5 degrees of Libra, the culmination, the fruiting that might be happening for you now and over the next 6 months is finding a sense of comfort in the world, finding a sense of satisfaction, and in Libra, a sense of balance and harmony in the world. Getting your needs fulfilled is a lunar thing. And so with the moon being activated here, you might find that the seeds you planted, maybe you invested some money 18 years ago, and now that's fruiting for you and you're able to pick the fruit and enjoy the fulfillment of that money, for example, that is now helping you to feel more safe and secure and solid materially in the world. Maybe you had a need to be in a relationship where you experienced affection, and so you planted a seed maybe a year ago. You said to the universe, you put out a prayer, you took some action towards, I want to be in a relationship where I feel affection because that's what I need in order to feel fulfilled. And there can be a fruiting now where a relationship full of affection comes your way. Whatever you need, the moon represents what we need in life in order to be fulfilled. For most people with moon in Libra, I'm a moon in Libra person, we need connection and partnership to feel fulfilled. We need harmony and balance in life in order to feel fulfilled. A moon in Libra, we need beauty surrounding us in our existence to feel a sense of fulfillment. And that is the fruit that might be culminating and being available for you to pick now, Libra and Moon people, as a result of this particular eclipse. Also, I want to say there might be some fruiting of circumstances to do with home, family, if your moon is being activated by this eclipse. So you might be changing homes, or there might be a shift in the dynamic of your family in some way because of the eclipse falling on your moon. If you have Mercury at this point, 5 degrees of Libra, you might be experiencing some sort of culmination or fruiting of opportunities in business, opportunities to run a side hustle or to learn a new skill. Maybe a year ago you decided, I'm going to learn to play the violin, and you were squeaking away every day, having a practice, driving everybody in the family insane with the squeaky violin. But now it's a year later, and you know what the culmination of that skill you've developed, Mercury's skills that you've developed, is? Somebody asked you to join their string quartet. You have practiced hard, you have worked to develop that skill, learnt your skill, and now the fruit of that happens. You're going to play in a string quartet. How fantastic. Mercury, as a part of this eclipse, brings culmination, fruiting of skillful opportunities, business opportunities, side hustle, kind of stuff, and friendships and connections. Mercury is communication. It's a social planet. So there might be some new friendship that's formed out of this eclipse, or a new sense of, being part of a small group in some way. New opportunities to communicate and share your voice, to speak up and be heard in some way on the planet through social media or some sort of publication of a journal article or something like that. Some opportunity that Mercury can bring you in that sense as well. If you have Venus at 5 degrees of Libra, this is a fruiting and a culmination of Venusian things. And of course, Venus happens to rule Libra, very powerful placement for Venus to be, and this can bring you love. Let's just say it plain. For anyone with Venus here, this is really an eclipse that could bring love into your life. Now, you might already be married or in a committed partnership, but this eclipse will bring a lifting of love. So, you're in a good relationship. Do you think it can get better? Yes, it can under this eclipse if your Venus is here. If you are a single person and you would like a relationship, it's very possible. You need other things usually going on in your chart as well, but this is a big trigger that can contribute to a new love coming into your life. If you're a single person and you're happily single, you don't care to find anybody, then the love that comes to you might be that of a really close girlfriend, or if you're a guy, a really good mate. Love comes in many forms. You might come in the form of finding a pet, that you can cuddle and enjoy the company of. Venus is connection in a sort of a loving way. It doesn't always have to be romantic. It can be sort of platonic love. So you might be experiencing that sort of thing. Venus is also finances. It's not great wealth like what Pluto's all about, but it is finances and money in the bank. And so you might find that there is a fruiting of a financial situation now as well if your Venus is being activated by this eclipse. What about Mars? Mars is so interesting. In fact, I'll just point out something very interesting about these eclipses. The ruler of this lunar eclipse is Venus, as part of a stellium of 4 planets in Pisces. When we have the solar eclipse that's coming up 2 weeks after this lunar eclipse, the ruler of that is going to be Mars, and Mars will then be involved in a stellium in no, he won't. He'll be in a conjunction with Saturn as well. So Venus, ruler of this eclipse, is in a conjunction with Saturn. By the time we have the next eclipse, Mars, the ruler of the next eclipse, will be in a conjunction with Saturn. So both these eclipses are being influenced by Saturn energy, which means we wait longer, as I said earlier, to see the results of what this eclipse might bring. So it takes more time when Saturn is involved. But back to what Mars might manifest. I just thought I'd point that out because it's just an interesting little tidbit. What Mars might manifest if you have your natal Mars at 5 degrees of Libra is the opportunity to exhibit more courage, to step out of your comfort zone and take a risk with life. This Mars is going to give you the ability, this eclipse rather on your Mars will give you opportunities to assert yourself more. Now, when we get opportunities to assert ourselves more, we might be required to assert ourselves more because there's a challenge, there's a difficulty, there's a problem that needs to be solved, and we need to step up to that challenge and be the warrior and assert ourselves. So that can happen with Mars. Mars is the planet that does very well in the 6th house of problems because Mars likes to fix problems. Mars wants to create the solution. Mars wants to resolve things, and he gets in there and gets the job done. So there may be, if your Mars is involved in this, a problem that needs solving as a result of this eclipse. But because Mars is being activated, you have what it takes for the battle. You have what it takes to resolve that problem, find a solution, fix the issue, and move on. And that could change the rest of your life. If you can solve a problem and bring it to a culmination, bring it to an end, you're done with that issue. You know, financial problems, you've sorted it out, it's done. 6 months' time, that's in the past. Health problem, you've confronted it, you've dealt with it, you've been the warrior and dealing with that health concern. It's finished, it's over in 6 months, boom, gone. Mars can help you have courage for the battle and solve the problems that you're facing in life. So don't be afraid that because Mars is a malefic, oh my God, what's this eclipse going to bring? Mars can give you what you need to fight the battle with this eclipse. Jupiter at 5 degrees of Libra. Well, Jupiter is the god of wealth. So there can be the culmination of a situation with prosperity and with abundance. You know, maybe 18 years ago you bought a house, full moon represents a house, home, and now you're selling it and it makes you a fortune. Like Jupiter is wealth. So that could be something that culminates and manifests as a result of this eclipse. But Jupiter is also beliefs, your ethics, your morals, and your philosophies on life. So this culmination energy of this eclipse can see you reaching a peak point with a belief system. Maybe you've been exploring, some philosophy of Marxism, or maybe you've been exploring, Hinduism or something like that, some religion, some belief system, some philosophy. And this eclipse brings you to a point of, I'm really going to take that on board. I accept that as my new belief. Or it's a culmination point. I've gone as far as I can go with that. I'm letting it go. So either way, there's a taking on board of something that becomes your new ethos for life, or there's a releasing. I've gone as far as I can go with that belief system. I'm done with it. Jupiter is all about that sort of thing too. There is also, most beautifully with Jupiter, the energy of joy. So for anyone with Jupiter here, it can be a time when you just are at a peak of joy, a peak of delight, a peak of happiness. Joviality is just abundantly in your life. And of course, as we've been talking all through this video, when we are vibrating at a certain level, we attract certain good things to our life. So Jupiter being activated by this eclipse brings a peak of joy, a culmination of joy, and you start to see more joyful experiences unfolding all around you. What a blessing to have Jupiter being activated by an eclipse. Love it. Saturn, if you have Saturn here, well, firstly, Saturn's exalted in Libra, so you lucky thing to have Saturn in exaltation in your chart. But there is an activation of Saturnian energy that happens, a culmination of Saturnian energy. So you might actually, even though Saturn's exalted in Libra, you might still be feeling a bit restricted, or there's too many rules in life as a result of this eclipse. That's one side of the Saturnian energy. There's also, for some people, the Saturn being activated by the eclipse can bring in more structure into your life. If you felt like life was out of control and wild and, oh my God, when are things going to settle down? I'm sick of this roller coaster. Then the eclipse falling on your Saturn can really bring things back in, can ground you, can put some parameters in place so life doesn't feel so wild and chaotic anymore. And for some people, I know that's going to be a really good thing. Life has been hectic over the last few years and a bit crazy. Saturn being involved in this eclipse for you could bring in more structure and limitations that serve you well. There might be a connection with government that fruits. Now, let's say 6 months ago you put in an application for a planning permit with government. Saturn rules governments and government structures and hierarchical structures. You put in an application for a planning permit, boom, you might get the fruit of that planning permit you applied for 6 months ago. Finally, you can go build your house or whatever. There is that kind of culmination of some dealing with government or going through a hierarchical permit process that might also be a result of this as well. Very exciting. Uranus here. Well, Uranus in Libra, there's a certain generation that's got Uranus in Libra, and this full moon falling on your Uranus placement is likely to affect not just you personally, this is not a personal planet, but more your generation, your collective, the people who were born in the same year as you are going to be affected. But for your generation, it might manifest something very exciting, something very unexpected, something that's very, liberating. So you might be feeling more liberated personally in your life, and so might everybody else you went to school with be feeling a sense of liberation, more freedom. One way this could manifest is maybe, your generation is, I'm thinking about when Uranus was in Libra. That's my generation actually. You've had your children, you've been putting energy into raising families and doing the family and mortgage thing, let's say, generally as a generation. Along comes a full moon conjunct with many people's Uranus, and you might find suddenly you're an empty nester, you've paid off your mortgage, lucky you, and you're free. Uranus is freedom, Uranus is liberation, Uranus is also big life change. So that's one way this can manifest. That's a huge life change to be in that position. So it could be sense of freedom, sense of liberation, sense of a 180-degree turnaround with life can be the result of this eclipse falling on your Uranus. If Neptune is here, and we're getting way back now, this is sort of quite a while ago that Neptune was in the sign of Libra. This is again a generational influence, and so this is a culmination of a spiritual experience. A lot of people that are getting their Neptune activated by this eclipse will be having profound spiritual experiences, vivid dreams, sort of a feeling of ecstasy, with spiritual understanding, psychic downloads and inspirations, feeling at one with the universe, feeling a sense of living beyond the planet even, sort of lifting up their energy beyond the mundane trivialities of Earth. So more spiritual experiences, creativity can also be enhanced in your life as a result of this eclipse as well. If you're part of the generation, as I am, that has Pluto in a conjunction with this particular eclipse point, well, we as a collective, and for some people, if it's in a powerful point like on an angle or something like that, this eclipse falling on your Pluto can bring a tremendous manifestation of personal power. So it's my generation that might be stepping into positions of power and authority and changing the world now as a result of this eclipse and over the next 6 months, bringing a sense of transformation to the self, renovating the self, reinvigorating the self, stepping into a level of power that you've not known before. So quite a pivotal energy for the collective that I'm part of, who have Pluto in a conjunction with this eclipse. So very transformative. Now, my friends, you might also like to look at your ascendant or descendant in a conjunction with this eclipse. Your midheaven or your IC is going to be very powerful as well if it's in conjunction with this eclipse. You can also check any Antisha and Contra Antisha points, any midpoints, any Brigu Bindu points that are receiving activation. My friends, if you don't know what those things are that I've just described and you would like to know, do I have any Antisha points and Contra Antisha points with this eclipse? Is it going to affect me? Then I'm not going to go into an explanation of what those things are now. That is sort of more learned astrology than we have time to go into here at the YouTube channel. But I have videos about that on my Patreon page. And it's something that we will also be exploring in the upper levels of the Royal Stars Academy if you would like to learn astrology and go deeper with astrology with me, and I'd love to be your teacher. So check out either the Patreon page, find out more about those things, or check out the Thinkific Royal Stars Academy and find out more about learning astrology with me. Thank you, my friends. Now we're at the exciting part of this video that everybody loves. We're going to start moving through the horoscope and seeing how this eclipse is going to affect each sign. Now, of course, we're going to start with lovely Libra, because Libra is where the eclipse is occurring. 5 degrees of Libra. If you've got your ascendant here, my Libran rising people, you can also be looking at this if you are a Libran sun or a Libran moon person. then you're going to feel this powerfully if you've got your sun, your moon, or your rising degree at 5 degrees. But all Librans are going to experience a general feel of the energy I'm now about to describe. So healing is a part of this energy of this eclipse, which we've talked about in the introduction. So here in the house of the body, if you have some sort of problem, maybe you've got a sore back, or maybe you've got, skin issues or something like that, healing can occur as a result of this eclipse. It can occur through your own initiation to heal that problem, such as, I've got skin issues. Finally I found under this eclipse a woman, like a dermatologist, a woman who can, because that's what we talked about in the introduction, you might meet a powerful woman, a woman dermatologist, and she's got all the solutions that I need to heal my skin problem, eczema or whatever it is, some skin issue. And this is what we're talking about, healing. I'm not saying for everyone it's going to be skin, it could be anything, but it's usually through some sort of powerful woman or intelligent woman that you will find the answer that can heal the body, with the full moon eclipse occurring in the first house, which is all about the body. Healing can also occur, mostly it's physical. Sometimes if you have felt a lack of confidence, or that your charisma has been squashed or had cold water thrown over your personality and your vibrance, there can be healing of that as well as a result of this eclipse. Remember, the energy of Libra full moon is to refine ourselves and bring more beauty and elegance into life. Well, this is affecting appearance, the house of how we appear, how we look. And so you might be doing something to sort of rejuvenate or revitalize your appearance. I'm not necessarily talking about going and getting the Botox or, doing any laser therapy or anything like that. It could be that you are inspired under this eclipse to get a new haircut or buy some new clothes or get physically fit, and you are creating a different image. It could also be that you are entering into a period, Librans, of more balance, more harmony within you, that then allows you to have an aura of peace and gentleness, of elegance and refinement, because within you're unflustered. You're not functioning at a low vibration, you're functioning at a high vibration that brings more elegance and beauty into who you are and how the world perceives you. So there can be some letting go of behaviors around physical maintenance and physical attributes and physical well-being that you're letting go of, beliefs around who you are. Let's say your charisma has been crushed by a terrible experience, maybe somebody really put you down or something, and you're like, I must suck, or if they say that I'm a bad person, then I must be a bad person. If your charisma has been crushed and you're sort of buying into that belief, this eclipse can come along and set you free from that belief, that lifts you up into a vibration of more beauty and more gentleness and grace and wonderful Libran energy. So that's healing, and it's also a letting go, because the moon is being caused an eclipse because of the south node, letting go of behaviors and beliefs that do not serve your charisma, do not serve your beauty. Now, this is a relationship axis, and Libra is a sign that is all about relationships. So it can mean that a relationship of some sort, any sort, friendship, business partnership, collaboration, marriage, could be ending in some way, or could be beginning in some way. Because remember, this is about there's a trine from Pluto. This is about letting go of something that is not serving you, that you do not need. And that could be letting go of your singleness so that you become partnered. It could be letting go of your loneliness. You've got friendship and companionship. It could be letting go of a relationship that's dragging you down so that you can be free to be yourself. There's an ending that leads to a new beginning under this energy. So very, very pleased to tell you that from the start, that it's all about liberation, and Pluto's trine is helping support this to manifest in an easy way that is a blessing. Now, Win-win outcomes will be the results. You know, if you do say goodbye to some relationship, it'll be a win-win result in the long run. Or you might find that something new comes in. It's going to be a balanced relationship. It's going to be a harmonious relationship. The power will be shared in a very equal manner. Beautiful, beautiful energy. So relationship axis means relationship changes. I will also point out that this is occurring in the house of you. And any changes that happen in a relationship will be instigated by you, Libra. You'll be the one to say, well, let's do it differently. Let's part ways. Or you'll be the one to approach someone and say, hey, do you want to go out for a coffee? Let's see where this can go, you know? You'll be the one to instigate. This is an energy of initiation. Very powerful. And of course, as we've talked about, this is a healing eclipse, and there might be some healing of relationship issues that comes from this as well, you know, healing of a marriage or healing of a business partnership that can be a result of this eclipse. There is also, because it's a full moon, it does represent the culmination, the end of the road. And in the first house, we are reaching a culmination point with how we identify ourselves. So you're reaching, Libra, the end of the road with how you identify yourself. Like, I am is how we identify ourselves. I am a mother. Well, maybe the way you've had to be a mother is now coming to an end. You know, maybe you're an empty nester now. You're still a mother, but it's totally different. So you might be identifying in that way somehow differently. It might be, I am a lover. Maybe your role as a lover is now taking on a different format in some way as a result of the eclipse. The way you identify yourself is changing. I am single might change to being I am partnered. I am single and unhappy might change to I am single and loving it. I am married might change to, as an identity, might change to I am divorced. I am sad might change to I am happy. Whatever it is, however you've been identifying yourself, you might be reaching the end of the road with that self-identification now and moving into some new identity that you take on, that you wear, that becomes your mantra. And that might, happen in this sort of framework of 2 weeks. But it could also be playing out and growing and fruiting and flourishing more and more over the next 6 months as well. So my darling friends on YouTube, if you would like to hear the extended interpretation, because I've got so much more to share about this placement for Libran people, if you would like to hear the extended interpretation of how this eclipse is going to affect your sign, why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family, where there is a massive 3-hour plus video exploring what this eclipse means for all signs. For all Patreon members, it's now going to be time to dive deeper into the astrology. Alrighty, moving along from lovely Librans, now we're going to be looking at Virgo. Virgo rising, Virgo sun, or Virgo moon people. If you are Virgo rising, sun or moon, this is for you. The lunar eclipse that is taking place on the 24th of March or the 25th of March, depending where you are in the world, is at 5 degrees of Libra, which is your second house in whole sign astrology. And so the energy for Virgo people is focused on second house things. And this is an energy of healing. This eclipse is all about healing. And so what it can bring us is a change to our value systems. Is actually a form of healing. We can heal how we value ourselves. Maybe you've been feeling like less than, not worthy, nothing good ever happens to me, poor me, it's so sad. I mean, these are victim mentality thoughts, but they're to do with how we value ourselves. This eclipse can bring us a chance to heal that and start seeing our worthiness. So that, as I've said in the introduction, which I'm hoping you've all listened to, the change starts within with a lunar eclipse. We change how we value ourselves. We change how we see ourselves. And that then changes how everybody else out there starts treating us. But it starts with us and how we value ourselves, first of all. So part of the energy of the eclipse in Libra is refining ourselves, bringing more beauty to who we are. So there's a real refinement and sort of even a renovation, because of Pluto's energy involved in this, renovation energy of who we are and how we see ourselves. You might have stood in front of the mirror for weeks and weeks going, oh, ugly, oh, look at that pimple, blah, blah, blah. Now you're going to perhaps, I hope, start to see when you stand in front of the mirror, oh my gosh, I have such pretty eyes. My hair's looking beautiful at the moment. I love my smile. You'll be seeing, not only in your physical being, in your personality and everything as well, but you'll start to see how beautiful you really are. You know what? I'm really so compassionate. I'm such a great listening ear for all my friends. You'll start to see the beauty in you, and the beauty physically and spiritually and emotionally in you, who you are personality-wise. Very exciting that could be part of your journey. It's a real precious piece of healing, my Virgo friends, that is a gift from the universe from this eclipse. There's also, with this eclipse, a feeling of a need for freedom. And because this is a house to do with materiality, this eclipse might cause you to want to sort of break free from some material circumstances. Maybe not necessarily debt, but maybe, you've been living in a house and it's just full of clutter. And you're like, I'm tired of how cluttered this house is. I feel a need to break free from so much stuff in my life, so much stuff around me. And so you might be inspired under this eclipse to change that, to make different circumstances. Maybe you organize things more, and maybe, Virgo, you're very good at putting things in, order and clearing up clutter and making things clean and organized. But there might even be a letting go, because the South Node's involved with this, of material things out of your life. You decide, well, hey, I don't really need all those books anymore, or those CDs or those DVDs. I'm going to give them to somebody who can value them. I'm going to donate them or whatever. And there's a letting go of material things that are no longer serving you. Remember, that's what eclipses are all about. It's about a full moon energy is about a culmination, the end of the road. And it can mean the end of the road with some sort of financial situation. So let's say that you've had 5 bank accounts, and you're sort of tossing money around between all the bank, and you're like, you know what, this is ridiculous. Let's just consolidate this one and bring everything under control. I'll pay out this credit card debt and whatever. You're reaching the end of the road with how you're handling money in some way. Letting go of perhaps some behaviors and beliefs around not only your self-worth and self-value, but how you handle money that are no longer serving you. So there's an end of the road literally with your finances, seeing some new financial opportunities come in. Keep your eyes peeled. You might be finding that there's new wonderful opportunities that present themselves, but ending old ways of dealing with things, and particularly ending an old way of viewing how you can make money. This is Libra. Virgo people do very well by collaborating and going into joint ventures and joint accounts as a way to make money, working with other people, or investing in refined things, cultural things, beautiful things. Virgo rising sun or moon people, particularly rising, can really benefit from taking a Libran approach to making money and obtaining material resources. But there's also this breaking free of any financial restraint. So for many of you Virgo people, there might be some financial benefit that comes your way as a result of this eclipse, especially as the god of great wealth Pluto is trining this point. So you might see some financial opportunities, some financial blessing. It's not necessarily going to be an inheritance or a windfall. That's not what this house is all about. But it's like, you know what? I'm offering my tarot reading services to the world, and I've been charging $50 for a tarot reading. You know what? I value myself more than that. My time, my energy, my knowledge, my psychic insights are worth way more than that. I'm going to up what I'm asking, and you change your financial situation because you value yourself differently. As I said, Libra is also about refinement. You might be you might have been doing pretty lackadaisical kind of approach to a tarot read. I'm using tarot reading as an example. It can be anything you do to make money for yourself, but tarot reading is the example I've chosen. You lackadaisical, a bit blasé about it, and here comes an eclipse in your second house of Libra, knowing that you need to have a more Libran approach to making money to get it to work for you, and you decide, I'm going to put together something very refined and very beautiful. So you create a beautiful space to do your tarot readings in. You interact with clients in a way that's very sophisticated and very refined and very professional, rather than very like, yeah, whatever, I'm getting cards out, man. No, it's much more elegant and refined in how you're presenting what you do that earns you the income that you have. So I hope you're following my drift, Virgo. Bring more beauty and elegance into how you make money. Bring more beauty and elegance into the surroundings that you are in your material world. Libran energy is to bring more beauty and elegance into things, and you will see money start to flourish. Value who you are, and you will start to see more flourishing. And this eclipse is going to bring opportunities for those things to happen for you now. It's also, as I said, an eclipse that can bring you a financial freedom by bringing more money into your life, more clients who are willing to pay for your services and that sort of thing, that ultimately results in a greater level of financial freedom. That's a blessing. Material win-win outcomes. Let's say you're in a position, Virgo, where you're going through a separation or a divorce or something, and you're having to divvy up all the material stuff. Well, this eclipse is going to mean that division of assets can be done very fairly and justly. So really lovely for some Virgos who are going through that kind of issue to see. But win-win outcomes materially in general are possible now. You're down the street, you're looking to buy a new couch or whatever, and you say, look, you've got a couch there for $5,000. What if I gave you 4? Would you take 4? And the person selling it thinks, well, you know what? It's been on the floor for quite some time. I really need to move it, and it's going on sale in 2 weeks' time anyway. Yep, okay, I'll take $4,000 for that $5,000 couch. And it's a win-win. You both walk away thinking, yep, got that couch off the stockroom floor, and you walk away thinking, I've got a brand new couch and $1,000 less than it was worth. Woo! Everybody wins. That's what we're looking at here. There could be those sorts of things come as a result of the eclipse. Manifestation of win-win outcomes with spending, buying, selling, which are second house activities, of course. So quite exciting in that regard. The final thing I want to mention for my YouTube audience who are Virgo is that there can be sudden changes as a result of this eclipse in how and why you feel safe and secure in the world. So there could be a person you meet or a circumstance that unfolds that changes why and how you are feeling secure and safe. And it can be for better, can be for worse. Remember, I shared the story of when I lost my job, when I had an eclipse on my sun. That stopped me from feeling very secure and safe in the world, I've got to say. But it ultimately, 6 months later, led to me feeling so in such a beneficial position that even when all the COVID rubbish and things was happening, I was able to navigate my way through that difficult time financially okay, because of what happened during that eclipse and how it shook up my world financially. So just know that if there's a shake-up in your life, financially or materially, and that affects how you feel safe and secure in the world as a result of this eclipse, the long term, especially as the ruler of your second house is here with Saturn right now, the long-term effect is going to be for the greater good. And you will see, you'll look back in a year, 2 years' time and go, thank God that happened. Now I'm more solid and safe in the world than I was before. So there'll be changes, and it's ultimately for the greater good. Trust, flow, receive, my beautiful friends. Well, Virgo, we are at the end of our little YouTube section about what this eclipse will be bringing you, but I have so much more to share with you, all about what this eclipse is doing in your life, and that will be at my Patreon page. The link's in the description below. There is a massive 3-hour plus video there exploring what this eclipse means for your sign. Let's go and dive deeper at the Patreon page. And don't forget, if you want to learn astrology with me, there's currently $100 off the Royal Stars Academy for equinox eclipse season. Head to the link in the description to access the syllabus and find out more. And now, for my Patreon family, let's dive deeper. Moving along. All right. We're looking at lovely Leo now. Leo rising, Leo sun, and Leo moon people. The energy of the eclipse is falling in your third house. Let me get this nice and solid for us, because we're going to be sitting here for the next little while talking about what's happening for third house Leo people. And the eclipse, as we know, is occurring on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending where you are in the world, at 5 degrees of Libra. This is an energy. The eclipse is going to bring big changes to your point of view and your mental perspective. And for many people, this is going to feel liberating and full of freedom. Like, you might have been feeling fearful of the world. And a lot of people are in a state of fearfulness, and a lot of people have post-traumatic stress as a result of the first 3 years of the 2020s, I've got to say. And this can really, if you're one of those people, Leo, this can really change your mental perspective and give you a more liberated, free, blessed point of view and mental state. So I'm excited for many of you Leos, because this is also a combination for healing of mental struggles, anxiety, depression. This eclipse and the events that it causes and the change in vibration that it brings can really heal your mental health. So very, very excited for Leo people to be able to share that. Because of the trine to Pluto, it's also an eclipse that can bring big psychic downloads. Trust your intuitive hunches now. They won't lead you wrong. Powerful, powerful energy that can give you a lot of insights into life. This is a mental energy, and of course you might receive mental impressions, mental ideas that are actually coming from the divine psychic downloads that are as a result of this eclipse. Remember, my friends, that this is an energy for healing. So these psychic downloads can actually be very pivotal in changing your perspective that causes the mental healing. Now, it could be that you're just sitting there in the backyard with a cup of tea in the sunshine and you get an epiphany and it just changes everything. Or it could be that you're reading a book and that changes everything. You read a line and it's like light bulb, boop, and you understand and the world makes more sense and you feel more aligned. And it could just happen just like that. Very exciting. There could be a message, an email that's sent to you, and it just changes everything. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about the world. Everything shifts as a result of an email that you get, or a message that you receive in some way, or a phone call that somebody makes to you. Some form of communication, which is very third house, can change how you see the world and how your mental health is. Big healing can occur with that sort of thing. Now, this is a house also that has to do with neighbors, siblings, and relatives, as well as the relationship that you have with them. And so this eclipse might see, in some circumstances, an ending of a relationship. There could be a loss of a relationship. For example, a neighbor moves away, you're no longer their neighbor anymore, and you sort of stop interacting with each other in this lifetime. Don't see each other again. Loss of that. But there can also be a change in the connection as well. Your sister, she's always lived, the next suburb over from you, and you've interacted a lot, and family get-togethers were often and frequent and happy, and then her husband gets a job on the other side of the country and they're moving. And that interaction ends. The dynamic of the relationship changes because there's a change in dynamic, there's a change in location. But look, it can happen in a million different ways, but this eclipse brings a releasing of some sort so that a new beginning can start. Like, you lose one neighbor because they move away, and in comes the new neighbor. You've got a new connection. It's a new beginning with third house things, siblings, relatives, neighbors. They're the key people groups that we see in the third house. There's also the chance for some surprising news. I've already alluded to this as being some news that you receive that changes your mental perspective, but this is the house. I remember in the introduction I talked about some surprising news arriving in your life as a result of the eclipse. That can happen for anyone, but it's extra likely to happen for our Leo rising people. You get a message, you get some information, you get some email or social media, something or other that changes your life. Last night I watched the film, the Beatrix Potter film, Miss Potter, and in a really sad sense, she received a letter when she was away on holiday telling her that her fiance was very sick and dying. And I'm hoping that that's not the kind of message that my beautiful Leo friends get. But that scenario in the film is the kind of thing we're talking about. You get some information and it changes everything. Changes your experiences, it changes your future. Because remember, eclipses are all about where we're going and the destiny we're moving into. You get a message that says everything's different now. It can be for good. And let's hope and pray that it's not like what happened to poor Beatrix Potter with the message she received. But the full moon is always a culmination time, a peak point, and often it represents the end of the road with something. In this case, in the house of small business and the money that you make through your own initiatives or your own skills and talents and abilities, there can be the end of the road, some sort of finishing and conclusion that is occurring with a small business. Now, it doesn't mean your small business is going to go kaput. That's not what it's saying at all. But you may have always, with your small business, imported socks from Japan, and that's your thing. You sell Japanese socks. And you decide, you know what, this isn't really cutting it anymore. I'm not making enough money out of these Japanese socks. So you decide, I'm going to add some Italian ties to my sock shop. And, you make a change. You've come to the end of the road as being identified as that Japanese sock shop. Now you're selling more than that. You're selling ties from Italy as well. So you see what I'm saying here? There's the end of the road with how you're doing business, what your business looks like, even the end of the road with a skill or a talent. It's a culmination point. And maybe you've had a skill or a talent. I think I spoke about this when I was talking about Mercury. You have learned to play violin. And you love playing violin and you're brilliant at violin, but you've always played classical violin. And then somebody introduces you to a bit of Appalachian fiddle music and you're like, oh my God, I have found my calling. This is my destiny. I'm going to play Appalachian fiddle music. And so skills and talents that we have developed are seen through the third house. You might reach the end of the road with how you're utilizing a skill or a talent and make a complete change and a complete shift as a result of the eclipse. And you don't play any more classical string quartet music. Now you're out there with the hillbilly crowd having a hoedown. It's great. So that's the kind of thing that we can be seeing happening with this eclipse in the third house, a change in our skills and talents and how we use them. Now, in ancient astrology, Leo, this was the natural house of the moon. And of course, it's the moon that is the main initiator or instigator in this eclipse energy. And so it was considered that the third house was an indicator of the priestesses who were messengers of the gods. And powerful. The third house is very powerful. In fact, the third house in the Navamsha, which is the 9th divisional chart in Vedic astrology, is quite pivotal, quite key. The third, and it's very mathematical, I'll just mention it very, very briefly, but 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9, and 9 is, in numerology, the number of completion. And 3 goes into it 3 times. And that's why 3 in the Navamsha, the 9th divisional chart, is very, very powerful. So here we are in the third house of the 1st divisional chart, not the 9th divisional chart, not the Navamsha. But here we are in the third house. It's a very important house. And of course, it has this connotation from ancient astrology of being the house of the priestess as a messenger of the gods. It is possible, because it's also the realm of the chart that has to do with communication. It is possible, Leo, that you have a very important message for humanity, and it is possibly from the gods. You will receive it as part of the eclipse in that eclipse activation period, something lays heavy on your heart, something that you need to share, something that you feel compelled to put out there to the world. Don't ignore it. Trust the message that's on your heart, Leo, because it is likely that the divine is using you for a message for humanity now. And don't thwart the divine. We are here to help lift one another up, help us move forward into the destiny of mankind. So Leo, what a privilege, what an honor to be so singled out by the divine to share the truth, to share your truth and that message you receive from the gods. Now, that's it for my YouTube presentation about this eclipse for Leo people. If you would like to know more about how this effect is going to affect your life, I have a whole massive 3-hour video exploring what this eclipse means for all signs in greater depth. We go so deep for you, Leo, all about your placement for this eclipse. Do come join me. The link's in the description below and get the extended version of what is going to happen for your sign. Also, I just mentioned, Leo, if you want to learn astrology, there's never been a better time because the Royal Stars Academy is having $100 off the intermediate level of astrology. So sign up now in equinox and eclipse season. Head to the link in the description below and come join me and learn astrology with me. All right, for my Patreon friends, it is time to dive deeper. Thank you, Leo. All right, moving along. We're at Cancer now. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon people. Well, for Cancers, this energy of the eclipse is being felt in their 4th house. It's angular, so it's powerful. Whenever anything is on an angle, we feel it manifesting for us in a stronger capacity. This eclipse is occurring on the 24th of March or the 25th of March, depending where you are in the world, and it's happening at 5 degrees of Libra. So this is that realm, the house that has to do with family, our parents and the way we parent, family members, family lineage, you know, mum's mother and mother's mother's mother, and the line of the family. And this eclipse can bring sudden changes in the family. So whatever family dynamic you're experiencing, you're all living in a certain way domestically, or, you have a certain relationship with your parents, it can go through a big change as a result of this eclipse. Remember that the South Node is causing this eclipse, and the South Node has to do with letting go. You might be letting go of certain dynamics in the family, certain behaviors in the family, certain beliefs in the family that no longer serve you. Certain ways of doing things in the family that really have no place any longer. So big changes in the family are a part of this. And you might actually even feel, because of the nature of this eclipse, that you need to break free of your family in some way, to have more freedom, to sort of be your own person, to be your own man or woman now in ways that you haven't before. So some of you, I think, might if you'd be leaving a family home in some way, sort of moving away from where you grew up as a result of this eclipse. You might be starting afresh. Now, that's with family. If you're a parent, you might find that your role as a parent is changing completely as a result of this eclipse. The way you're interacting with your children changes completely. This happens a lot as a parent. When children are toddlers, we relate to them in a certain way. When children are children, primary school age, we relate to them in a certain way. When they're teenagers, we relate to them in a different way. When they're adults, we relate to them in a different way. So there is a shift of energy, I feel, that's coming for many Cancer people in the way they parent and their role as a parent and how they identify as a parent because of what this eclipse brings about. And it'll be a change inside you that then affects what happens outside you, which we talked about in the introduction. But this 4th house is a very psychic realm of the chart, and it's very emotionally sensitive and intuitive. So for my Cancer people, it's really about trusting your intuition, trusting your gut, and trusting your emotions and your feelings right now with this combination. You're going to have the ability through this eclipse to perhaps heal some emotional hurts and wounds. Remember, Pluto is making a beautiful trine to this eclipse, and that can bring about a lot of emotional healing in the house of emotions. So maybe you were hurt relationally, Cancer, or maybe there was, Libra represents relationships. So maybe there was a relationship that wounded you in some way or left you feeling let down or whatever. And that could be a romantic relationship or a parental relationship or a sibling relationship. It doesn't matter. It could be any kind of relationship. Libra has connection to how we connect with others. And there can be healing of that. Those sad emotions, those wounded hearts can be healed with this beautiful trine from Pluto to this eclipsed full moon. So very, very powerful emotional healing can be a part of what this eclipse brings about. The eclipse is also a full moon. So there's the end of the road forming, a culmination point, a peak point with some dynamic with a home place, like a place where you live. And wherever there's an ending and a letting go, because the south node of the moon is causing this, and the south node is about releasing and letting go, wherever you're releasing a place of living or a garden or a home or a domestic situation, you are beginning a new era, because you've got to live somewhere. You're going to have a domestic life wherever you are on the planet. So there's a change now. Above all, this is bringing a change. So for some of you, you might be moving homes, literally moving homes. For some of you, you might think, you know what, I'm sick of living like this in my home. We need a renovation. Let's go, find a builder. Let's go to the bank. Let's do what we need to do. We need to renovate this place because I can't live like this anymore. So there's a change to your home and the way you're living in your home. There's a change in the domestic life. Maybe the divvying up of chores and responsibilities in the home needs to change, and that can happen as a result of this eclipse too. But it will be within you. You realize, I cannot do this anymore in this way. We need to make a change. So that feeling you will feel within the sort of 2 weeks of the eclipse period, and then it will lead to certain results over the next 6 months. Okay, we're going to renovate. Okay, we're going to move home. Okay, we need to change countries or whatever it happens to be. But it's coming firstly from a feeling of, this is too much, I can't do this situation any longer. So there's an ending that leads to a new beginning with where you live and how you live. And I have to say, there could be for some people, not all Cancer, rising, sun or moon people, but some of you might be feeling some heavy shift or change with a maternal figure, your mother. Mother energy is often associated in Western astrology with the 4th house. So I just want to say, if you do face some challenges with a mother, maybe, a falling out with the mother, or a mother is unwell and that changes the dynamic of how you're relating to her and interacting with her, I just want to say that this eclipse, because of the trine from Pluto and the benevolent quality of the ruler of the eclipse, Venus, you absolutely have the ability to handle whatever the universe sends your way, my beautiful Cancer friends. You can find solutions to problems. You can navigate through whatever challenges might be unfolding with a mother. Now, that's not going to be the case for everybody, but some of you Cancer people will be experiencing that. Now, I have so much to share about what else is happening for our lovely Cancer friends and how this eclipse is affecting you. I've saved a lot of the juicy bits for my Patreon family. So if you would like the extended interpretation of what this eclipse is going to bring for your sign, Cancer, why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family? There is a 3-hour plus video there. Great in-depth meatiness exploring what this eclipse means for all signs in the extended version. So come join me there and we can dive in deeper. And don't forget, there's a $100 off the intermediate level of the Royal Stars Academy for eclipse and equinox season. If you would like to come study astrology with me, head to the link in the description to access the syllabus and find out more. And now for my Patreon family members, let's dive in deeper. Alrighty, Gemini rising, Gemini sun and Gemini moon people. Well, The eclipse for Gemini, friends, is falling in your 5th house. What a great place to have such a benevolent eclipse occurring. And this is happening on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending where you are in the world, at 5 degrees of Libra. Now, this is the house of boyfriends and girlfriends or live-in lovers, that sort of thing. Because of this eclipse, some of you might separate from a boyfriend or separate from a girlfriend now. But if that happens, it's because it's not something that you can sink your teeth into for the long term. It's not something that feels good for the long term, and it's time for it to end. Because the South Node is here, my beautiful Gemini friends. The South Node is in the 5th house. It's about letting go. And the full moon represents reaching a culmination point. You've gone as far as you can go. This relationship cannot get any better than what it is right now. And maybe that's satisfying for some of you. For some of you, it might be, that's just not where you want it to be. So if that's what happens, and it won't happen for everybody, but for some of you it will, if that's what happens, you need to know that it wasn't part of your destiny and purpose, because eclipses always occur to take us into our true destiny, to make us more authentic and real and aligned with why our soul incarnated. This is an eclipse that might give you a sense that you want more freedom and you want more space. And by creating space in a relationship, for example, that's not working, that's not doing it for you, you're actually creating the freedom in your life to bring in a new relationship that does feel aligned with your mission and your purpose. And you're also creating space in the life of the other person for them to find someone who truly loves them. And everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves to truly know love. And so if you're sticking with somebody because, well, they expect me to, and I guess I better, well, you are denying that person the chance to truly know love. And so I'd encourage you to think about the karma involved with those sorts of things. But this eclipse is really highlighting the need to feel freedom. We can also be letting go of behaviors and beliefs around love and romance that no longer serve us, that aren't really helping us. Maybe we had some, Disney-based fantasies about what love and romance was. Well, this eclipse can be sort of saying, well, hey, you need to wake up to reality. Life's not really like that. Life is very different. Yes, you can have fairy tale experiences, but they're not going to be like the Disney stories. So, there can be, like I said, letting go of behaviors and beliefs around romance that happen as well. Now, not everybody is going to say sayonara to their dating life or to a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Sometimes this eclipse energy in the 5th house can manifest in very different ways. This can be a real source of healing because of the trine that's coming from Pluto to this eclipse. So if you are in a relationship and you're like, this is the love of my life, it's just that we've been going through a rough patch, then you can actually have a time of revival of your relationship, of your love, and stepping back into, that energy feeling good again, healing the relationship that might have been struggling. Pluto can do that. Pluto can take something that's sort of been burnt down and raise it back up to life again. Pluto is the energy of the phoenix rising from the ashes. So that's another thing that, you might like to cling to. The 5th house is also opportunities for creative expression, to show our creative genius, basically. And this eclipse might bring opportunities for that. You might be invited to exhibit a painting at an art show. You might win a role in a theatre production, the lead role or something like that. You might get a chance to appear on film, or for your film to be exhibited at the St Kilda Film Festival or something exciting like that. So this is an energy where opportunities and blessings can come your way regarding your creative expression. That's a gift. Now, if you have children, this is the house connected to children, and it might be that your children are experiencing the outcome of this eclipse more than you. They might be getting opportunities for creative expression. They might be able to really shine their light in the world in some way. They might be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that no longer serve them. They might be hungry for freedom. So for some of you who are parents and as Gemini people with the eclipse in the 5th house, you might find that your children come and say in the next 6 months, I'm moving out. I need to go and do life on my terms, on my own. Children want freedom. So that can happen it can happen at any age, but let's hope they're all of an age where they're going to cope out there in the world on their own, if that's what comes of this. If your children have been struggling, if they've been sad, if they've been lonely, this is also a combination for deep healing, Pluto energy with this moon. So you might find that there's some sort of healing that occurs as a result of this eclipse, my friends. And that can be such a gift for your children if they've been struggling in some way. Now, for some, there can be surprising lucky breaks because this is one of the luckiest houses in the horoscope. It's good fortune, 5th house. So for some of our Gemini friends, you might get the break of a lifetime, the windfall of a lifetime, the job of a lifetime. Something happens where there's this super positive outcome as a result of this eclipse. Very, very exciting. That could be so fantastic. And because this eclipse is full of surprises, there could be romantic gestures that happen in the lives of some of our Gemini friends where you find people just wearing their heart on their sleeve before you, surprising you with some sort of act of love, and sudden new romances can eventuate as well. So if that's something that you're looking forward to or would like to see in your life, you can be very lucky in that regard, Gemini. But I have so much more to tell you, Gemini, about what this eclipse is bringing you, what is unfolding and how it might be expressing in your life. If you would like to hear the extended interpretation for your sign, then why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family? There's a 3-hour plus video there exploring in great depth the extended version of what is going to happen for your sign. Don't forget also, Gemini, if you would like to study astrology, I have a $100 off discount running at the moment for the Royal Stars Academy just for equinox and eclipse season. So head to the link in the description to access either the syllabus or to sign up and come study astrology with me. And now for all my Patreon family members, let's dive in deeper. Moving along, Gemini to Taurus. Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon people. Well, my beautiful Taurus, it's all the action's going to be in your sign before very long. But right now, for a Taurus person, the eclipse is falling in the 6th house. And this is happening on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending where you are in the world. And it's happening at 5 degrees of Libra, your 6th house. Now, this is the house of what we call the underdog, people who are disadvantaged. And you, Taurus, are going to be, because this moon is so benevolent and compassionate, you're going to be highly sensitized to the pain of other people under this eclipse. You might notice more than ever the people living in tents by the side of the highway. You might feel moved to help those people, or maybe you pass by a beggar on the way to work. This is becoming more and more prevalent in the West because of our ridiculous political policies. Don't even get me started. But you might be moved to compassion for people in those sorts of circumstances. But it doesn't have to be that even people that you see visibly out there on the streets and stuff. It could just be that you are aware that somebody at work can't make the payments on their electricity bills this month. And so you're moved to help them. You'll be so sensitized to the struggles and the problems of other people. Really, this is an energy of where you're going to want to help free people from their oppression. Now, you can do this, I'll pay your electricity bill, but is that really going to solve things for the next month and the month after that and the month after that? No, we need to find bigger solutions, obviously. So you might collaborate with somebody. Libra is to partner with somebody. You might notice, oh, look, we've got a problem in this area. Maybe you're a teacher and you've got lots of children coming in and they haven't had breakfast or whatever. And so you decide, let's partner with, I don't know, the Salvation Army or something, and let's start having school breakfasts for the kids who get there, half an hour before school starts and they haven't had any breakfast. Partnering, Libra energy, collaborating with other organizations or another person to actually set people free from their pain. This is an eclipse that might trigger these sorts of thoughts in you, these sorts of inspirations in you. And I would just encourage all of you Taurus people, don't ignore those promptings, because you can make a difference in the world. You can make a change in the world. Imagine if you're a little kid and you get fed breakfast, 5 days out of 7 because you go to school. I mean, you've made a big difference in that child's life, That's just an example, okay? But you will, the point being, you will be sensitized to the pain of others because of something you observe and things that you notice as a result of this eclipse. Now, this eclipse is not a confrontational, difficult energy. It's a benevolent eclipse. Very pleased to tell you that. But if you've had any confrontations with people, any rubbing one another the wrong way, any sort of clashing of heads, then there can be healing that this eclipse brings. Pluto trine to the moon in the 6th house can bring some sort of restoration and healing. So go through all the people in your life that you really don't enjoy being around. Is there anything that you could say? Is there anything that you could do that could heal the relationship you have with that person? This eclipse is the best time to instigate that healing and to work with this energy to the best of your advantage. You have the ability with this eclipse to handle whatever the universe sends your way. And why not take it to the nth degree and restore relationships with people left, right, and center? Some people, as a result of this eclipse, as I said, it's a very healing energy. Some people might win over a health issue with this eclipse. You might find the right acupuncturist or the right naturopath or the right medical practitioner that can help heal your issue. But it might take 6 months of work, because remember, we might find the right person during the eclipse activation period, but the eclipse's events play out over a 6-month period. So you might need to see that practitioner for 6 months, but ultimately the healing can come because of this beautiful trine from Pluto to the moon in the house of the 6th house, which is actually a healing house. It's a house of problems, but it's also a house of the resolution of the problems and what we need to do to go about life to resolve problems. So healing can come. Some people might win over a court issue. Have you been in court? Have you been having to sort of go head to head with somebody about some legal situation? Well, if you're a Taurus rising person, you might actually have a win because of the eclipse falling in the 6th house against a difficult person that you've been battling with. Yay! This is a full moon energy. And whenever we have a full moon energy, it's about releasing something. We've gone as far as we can go with it. The moon can't get any bigger. And it's being triggered by the south node. Letting go. I see so many of you Taurus people in a situation where you're going to be letting go of the yucky things in your life, the battles, the court cases, the health issues. And often when we have a letting go south node triggered eclipse, people feel a bit sad. Oh, I don't want to let go of this relationship or this job or this, I'm sad. Not when it's in the 6th house. It's letting go of stuff that doesn't serve you. It's stuff that is problematic. There is a releasing of the problems and the energy behind those problems. So pleased to tell you this. Win-win, balanced, harmonious Libran outcomes are possible now too. Endings that happen will be a blessing under this eclipse. Yay! I'm excited. I'm so excited, my Taurus friends. This is a gift. It's also, whenever there's a full moon, it's the end of the road with not only disadvantages that you see in the world around you, but with your life circumstances that you're experiencing where there's conflict, disadvantage, or health issues. I've talked about that. So it's out there around you, and it's also in your own life where that change is coming in. Now, also, this is the realm of the chart that has to do with pets, animals, domestic animals. And so this eclipse might be, if it's not affecting you in the ways I've just spoken about, it might be affecting a pet or an animal. Sometimes, and I just forearmed on this, sometimes an eclipse can trigger a family pet passing over. So I hope that's not the case. I hope more likely that it will be a change in the life of your pet. Maybe, you've had a pet and they've always been an inside cat, and then you notice that they're spending more and more time outside and hunting in the backyard and doing whatever cats do, and they go from being an inside cat to a cat that likes to spend more time outside. It could just be that the animal itself changes its nature as a result of this eclipse. So don't, be too upset if by me saying, oh, they could cross over. It could be that the life that the pet is choosing to lead changes somewhat as a result of this eclipse. So that's what I'm feeling for our beautiful Taurus friends. Now, I have so much more to tell you about the nature of this eclipse. If, Taurus, you would like to hear the extended interpretation of what this eclipse is going to do for your sign, then why not join me at the Guiding Star Family Patreon page. The link's in the description below. There's a 3-hour plus video there where we explore in great depth what else is going to be happening for your sign as a result of this eclipse. So I do hope you join me there. But if you would like to learn astrology with me, don't forget that there's currently $100 off my intermediate astrology course at the Royal Stars Academy. This is only for equinox and eclipse season. Head to the link in the description below to access the syllabus there and find out more. Moving along to Aries. Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon, people. Well, my friends, the energy of the eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra is falling in your 7th house. This is happening on the 24th to the 25th of March, the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. And this is the realm of relationships, and when we have an eclipse falling on the relationship axis, it's going to shake up our relationships, all sorts of relationships. So let's talk about a couple of different ones. Let's start by, are you single, Aries, and do you want a partnership? Well, this is a combination of energy that might bring in a partnership to your life if you've got other factors occurring in your natal chart as well. But it can bring a relationship in your life, and it will be very healing because Pluto is making this beautiful trine. Could be that you meet them through a friend as well, or some social connection. You might meet somebody, it heals the soul, it restores you. But it's going to happen not from your instigation, Aries, but from the instigation of other people. Like a friend asks you around for dinner, she's got a few single friends coming over, and you meet the love of your life there. That's what it could look like. And it might be that that person comes up to you and says, would you like to catch up again after this dinner's done? Maybe we go out for a drink or something. That will come from outside of you, Aries. So that's if you're single, it could look like that. If you're single and you don't want a relationship, you're done with it, you'd rather just be on your own, you could find that this eclipse brings you friendships, connections that feel bonding, that feel good. Not necessarily a love relationship. Libra can mean just like partnering with somebody, best friend, a business partner. So it could be that if you're not looking for love, that you find and meet somebody who just feels fulfilling to have in your life, companion kind of energy we might see there. Now, relationships that are existing before this eclipse occurs that have been working well, marriages and business partnerships that have been doing very well, they can see a shift in dynamic that takes you more into the positive, more love, more fun, more blessing, more expansion as a couple. So that is some happy news if you're in a good relationship. If you're in a relationship that's been strained, where you've been like, I am so sick of this, I'm out of here as soon as I get a chance, well, this eclipse can bring about the strain that might break you apart. Because what this eclipse wants to achieve is some authenticity, and there's a strong push for freedom with this eclipse. You're going to want to break out. It's a full moon energy. You've gone as far as you can go. You can't take this any further, basically, if you feel like it's at a dead end. So something will probably happen that will have you walking on eggshells now, and you've got to ask yourself, is this really the right relationship for you? You might even find, Aries friends, that it is the partner that says, I'm done. This is going nowhere. So that they end it. But usually that will come if the relationship has been fractious and disappointing and frustrating so far anyway. So whenever something ends, I just want to remind you, my friends, that it's making space for something new. I said this earlier when I was talking about the Libran energy for this eclipse. But basically, if you're with somebody and you're staying with them out of some sort of duty or obligation, and your heart's not really in it, you're actually doing a disservice to that person, because that person deserves to be with someone who loves them truly, who wants to be with them. and you're keeping them from that. So, is this really the right relationship for you? By ending something or seeing something end, it's making space for a good relationship, the right relationship, a true love to enter into your life and the life of your partner. This is also a full moon energy. It represents a culmination. The culmination, end of the road with something like something legal. So you're at end of a contract, end of a court case, end of dealing with lawyers, end of a negotiation process, end of a business deal might be occurring for some of you Aries friends. Now, I've got a girlfriend, she is dealing with a very difficult contractual legal situation. And, it's my prayer that this eclipse brings about the finalization of that situation and that she walks away in a healed, thanks to Pluto, position, and that her finances are healed and the situation is resolved. End of the road. And of course, when we have a south node triggering the eclipse, it represents letting go. So a lot of you Aries people, if it's not a relational focus, a lot of you will be letting go of some, not necessarily a problem, but some legal situation that might have been, serving you well, or it might have been dragging you down. There's no definition of whether it was good or bad here. So some contract, some legal situation, some legal process that's now coming to an end, creating more space in your life for something new. That's really what I'm feeling into here. This is a very much an energy for creating win-win outcomes, Aries. So harmony and balance is going to be the result of this eclipse in your 7th house. So don't be afraid of what it brings your way. And remember, because of the Pluto aspect to this eclipse, you have the ability to handle whatever the universe sends your way now. You can navigate it, and you will come out in a state of greater freedom. And remember, Libra and 7th house energy is about beauty, elegance, refinement. Your life, as a result of what this eclipse brings, can feel more beautiful, more, you notice the butterflies more, you notice the spring colors or the autumn warmth on your skin. Just life feels better because of this energy. So that's really what I'm feeling into. I want to just say I've got so much more to share about this. This is what I'm feeling into for the YouTube channel, but I have so much more to say for my Patreon Guiding Star family. On my Patreon page, there is a 3-hour plus so much more video exploring what this eclipse means in greater depth for your sign. So if you want to dive deeper, head to the link in the description below and join me there. And if you'd like to learn astrology with me, I am currently offering $100 off the intermediate level of the Royal Stars Academy for equinox and eclipse season only. And all you need to do is head to the link in the description to make the most of that opportunity as well. Come study astrology with me in 2024. The Lord of the eclipse is Venus in exaltation in the beautiful sign of Pisces, but it's with Saturn, so there can be sort of a feeling of authority and restriction and so on. There might be, more likely than it's not going to, but I just want to spell out everything that's possible. It could be that she's meddling for difficult reasons. She's wanting to know how the book's going at the salon, and she's always coming around and checking the books, and you're like, Mum, just stay out of my business affairs, So keep that in mind. It could go either way. But mother, and if you're a single person, it's your mother or your family who might introduce you to a potential partner over the next 6 months. So if you get invited round to the family barbecue on a Sunday afternoon, don't be like, oh, can't be bothered going. Head around. You never know what might come from that family barbecue based on what this eclipse is telling us. So you might meet partners at your parents' family home or in your home community. You might meet potential partners, if you're a single person, that come from a similar cultural background to yours, similar family background. That can also be a thing. The family and the community and the culture is going to have a big bearing on your relationships for the next 6 months. So, being able to immerse yourself in your family culture is kind of important. I would encourage you, whether you're married, whether you're single, whatever the situation you are in life, I would encourage you to take the every opportunity that presents itself to get involved in your traditional family heritage or culture. Now, the spouse, your partner, if you are married, can bring property into your life. Yes, we've talked about, the ability to, the next 6 months, bring about a home situation or a land or a property situation because you're in a collaboration. But your spouse, your partner, can also enjoy fourth house activities more than ever in the next 6 months as a result of what this eclipse is doing. They might get, you might see your partner out in the garden. They've never lifted up a shovel in their life. And you're like, what is going on? Tell you what, it's the eclipse. Out there gardening, digging up a veggie patch. They might start dabbling in real estate, getting involved in property development. They might take an interest in home decorating and renovation. They might start, encouraging the family to have more hospitality events in the house, entertaining from home. And you're like, what is going on? If that's not something that regularly happens. So Aries, get ready for any partners that you have to suddenly become more fourth house oriented as a result of what this eclipse is doing. It's also possible that you or your partner might get involved in business with family as a result of what this eclipse does. This is a house of business contracts and negotiation, and you might start doing these with your family members. The fourth house is also the 10th house from the 7th. So here's the 7th house. If I count 10 houses, I get to the 4th. So it represents the career of your partner. And this is an indication to me, with this eclipse forming in the 7th house and the Lord being the Lord of the 4th house, that your partner's going to do very well career-wise over the next 6 months. So what a blessing that is, Aries. They might be really growing their worldly status, get a promotion, have some opportunity to be more respectable in the outer world. Maybe they're functioning at work as a sort of a counselor or an advisor to other people in some way as well. People are coming to them with their problems more than ever, and it doesn't matter what area of field of work they're working in, they might be really be being leaned on by others. So that can be a thing. You can also find, Aries, that with this combination, you might need to make changes to your home, or might be compelled energetically to make changes to your home to make your home more refined and artistic, more stylish, getting rid of anything that's outdated, and bringing in more beauty and natural aesthetics perhaps in your home with this combination also as well. And that's what I'm really sensing for our Aries rising sun or moon people. Okay, moving on to Pisces. Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon people. Well, we Pisces have the energy of the eclipse being felt in our 8th house. And this is quite an interesting, gotta say, such an interesting placement for Pisces people. This is occurring on the 24th to the 25th of March, that we're having a full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Pisces. And if you listen to the introduction, you'll understand a lot of what this eclipse is going to do for us. But I'm going to talk about how this 8th house is really going to be playing out for Pisces people. It is an energy of receiving amazing intuitive downloads, like getting goosebump moments, premonitions, prophetic influences, inner knowing, seeing omens everywhere. Especially with this trine from Pluto. Trust your gut, Pisces. Trust your instincts, because you're going to get some wisdom that you may never have known before. Very, very, very powerful, I have to say, for understanding how the universe works and what's really going on out there. You'll be able to see to the bottom, to the core of the hidden motivations of everyone around you, and you will just understand and get what's really going on in the political scene. You'll be able to understand who's pulling the strings, what's the real truth behind this new policy they're bringing in, behind this new law or this new piece of news that's everywhere. You'll be able to know, that's what's the true agenda that's pushing that. It's being able to see things clearly. And that's not always an easy thing, is it, Pisces? Sometimes when we know what's really going on, where we see where things are really coming from, it's actually really confronting and disturbing. So I just want to forewarn you and forearm you about that. That Pluto trine is going to really activate the clarity and understanding of what the true motives are all around you, Pisces. So be warned. But you can sort of use it to see into the future, if you like, to get some premonitions and to sort of make wise choices as a result out of this eclipse energy. Now, eclipses in the 8th house bring big seasons of change, bring rebirth, bring regeneration. And life is about to really change for you, Pisces, in the most remarkable way. And very quickly, because 8th house energy is about turning around so fast that you're left reeling, you're left spinning. Like life's heading in this direction, all of a sudden you're going in the opposite direction, and it just happens in the blink of an eye. So something suddenly, like you meet a person and it changes your life completely. You get an opportunity and life is just, you're propelled into the spotlight, for example. There is just such an energy of powerful change that comes with this configuration. And the Pluto trine is a benevolent influence on this. So it is likely to be a change. Usually 8th house can be a crisis that we end up going, like tearing our hair out with, and like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But because of this benevolent trine from Pluto, it's going to be fast, yes, but it's also going to be change for your empowerment, for you to take your power back, for you to stand in a place of strength in life. So I feel it's going to lift you up out of the ashes, Pisces people. Very excited about this for Pisces people. It's also a full moon, which represents culmination, the end of the line, having gone as far as you can with some way of being in your life. You've done it. You've been, maybe you've been sort of trying to heal yourself from certain attitudes, Pisces, that have been hanging around since your childhood. Or whatever it is, you've been sort of, doing life in a certain manner, maybe like I used to do as a single mother, and then some change comes in as a result of this eclipse, and suddenly you've healed all those past life experiences and you feel whole and complete again. Or you are no longer a single mom because life has turned around 180 degrees. This is what we mean. It's the end of the line with one identification of who you are and a beginning of a whole new way of being. One of the reasons this is the case is that once we have a planet move above the descendant and then into the 8th house in whole sign astrology, that's what Libra is for a Pisces person, we move out in the world. Prior to that, we're dealing with the self, we're dealing with understanding of the world and knowledge of the world, and then we move out in the world. And it's like this half of the horoscope is one way of being, and this half of the horoscope underneath is another way of being, a different way of being. And so as we move into the 8th house, as the planets move that way, we're moving into an entirely different way of being. That's what 8th house represents. So really, it's a brand new start, turning over a new leaf. You've been poor, you might experience being rich. You've been super powerful, super rich and treading on everybody's toes. You might lose it all and have to go back to, living on the welfare payments or something. Like we're talking about big 180 degree turns around. Remember, karma is often involved in those things too. So keep your karma clean, Pisces. I know you do. But it can be very emotionally up and down. That's what this house is. It's a roller coaster ride. But look, you will probably find that things are a little bit up and down for the duration of eclipse season and through the eclipse gateway. And you just really need to ride it out as best you can, Pisces. It's just the nature of the 8th house. It's a roller coaster. But because of this trine from Pluto to the eclipse full moon, you really have what it takes to be able to handle whatever it is that the universe sends your way. You can find solutions, the way to deal with problems. And of course, the ruler of the eclipse is Venus in conjunction with Saturn in your 1st house. You have the maturity and the endurance and the stoicism to really ride that roller coaster and grit your teeth knowing it'll come to an end soon enough, and it will. So very, very interesting placement for the eclipse, and big change is at hand. You really will also have a drive for freedom, Pisces, with this combination, wanting to feel free, wanting to feel, liberated. And so that's part of the change. Remember, I spoke about in the introduction that the changes that a lunar eclipse brings start on the inside it's initiated by your emotional state, Pisces. So the more that you can remain in love, the more that you keep fear at bay and trust in the flow of the divine, you're very good at doing that, Pisces, then the better you can cope with whatever change is about to happen. Now, this is a house of inheritances, windfalls, downloads, downloads of in the material realm, I mean, of like receiving from others. This is the house of other people's wealth, and you, with this eclipse happening here, can really like experience receiving some sort of financial support or inheritance or blessing that comes your way. Equally, it is a house of crisis. So for some Pisces, and I've already kind of alluded to this already, there might be some feeling of the rug being pulled out from under you. Things might feel precarious. You thought you were solid, you thought you were secure, and boof, everything shifts. So it's very hard to predict exactly what an eclipse in the 8th house is going to bring. And the easiest thing to say is it's going to bring change. But because the eclipses are always connected with the north and south node of the moon, they are connected with our karmic past, and often eclipses bring karmic reaping, what we've sown. And because of the north node, we can also, we know that eclipses take us more towards our soul's purpose, our destiny point. So if you go through crisis, it's because of mostly, maybe it takes a crisis to take you to the next point on your journey, into your destiny. I used the illustration a little while back about when I had an eclipse on my sun, which happens to be in my 6th house, not my 8th, but same kind of problematic scenario, a malefic house. I had an eclipse on my sun. I lost a job. I lost the means of paying for my mortgage, and I had to cash in my life insurance just to survive. And I really had to make my astrology fly. I had to make it my number one priority instead of being my side hustle, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, but it was a massive crisis. Very 8th house, I've got to say. And yet out of it came a greater destiny. And I use that illustration because that's what I mean by karma and destiny. It can take a crisis situation to push us into what we're meant to be doing. And that's usually what the 8th house will do. It's going to change your life so much that, for better or worse, it could be that you receive an inheritance and everything's coming up roses, or there might be some crisis that's designed to sort of help steer you into the direction you're meant to be going, and it will pay off in the end. It will pay off in the long run, absolutely, because the governor of the dispositor, if you like, of this eclipse energy is Venus, exalted, good benefits, good outcomes, but with Saturn, it's going to take time. And there might be a need for some new structures, new planning, new organization in your life in order to get there. So Pisces, that's really what I'm feeling. Yes, it's a house of sex, but this eclipse, I feel, is not... Yeah, look, it is. I was going to say it's not overly sexualized, but it actually is, because it has a trine from Pluto. Pluto is the god of sort of the deep intimacy, where you feel that. Pluto is connected to soulmates because he represents everything that is ultra deep. And that's what soulmate love feels like. It feels like something that's so deep within you that you can't even reach to the bottom of it. It's just so unfathomable, that soulmate connection. So, but it's a beautiful trine. And so it is possible that your sexual experiences as a result of this eclipse over the next 6 months might be so deep, so powerful, so intense. That is if you are with your soulmate. So that sounds fun and exciting to me. So if you're a Pisces person, you're in that situation, enjoy, my friends, the sexual depth that can come out of this particular eclipse. So healing, I just have to touch on healing. This is the 8th house. It's a healing house. And this energy with Pluto involved is a healing energy. But I would encourage you, Pisces, if you really want to get some psychological healing happening in your life, some resolution to old traumas and so forth, you've got to do therapy. It requires your initiation to do therapy or read psychological books, that sort of thing. That's where you need to go towards to really get the benefit. And in fact, if you're doing therapy yourself and changing who you are of your own volition, of your own initiation, refining the self, bringing more Venusian energy like elegance and beauty into your soul, by learning about who you are and changing certain things in your character that are less than pleasing. We all have those little hang-ups. The more that you're doing that work, the less that the universe has to bring in, sort of pulling the rug out from underneath you in order to effect the change. If you're doing the change voluntarily, the universe doesn't have to, and it will just allow good things to come in instead. So Pisces, can I just encourage you to get the best out of this energy? Get reading those self-help books, or do some art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, whatever is your bag. And, you'll find that this eclipse will be most beneficial. It'll be a gift from the divine rather than a challenge that grows you. Well, Pisces, I have so much more to say about this placement. Believe me, it is a deep house, and there's a lot of depth that I need to share. And if you would like to hear the extended interpretation of this eclipse energy for your sign, then please join me at the Guiding Star Patreon family. There's a 3-hour plus, in fact, it's probably more like 4 hours at this point, video exploring what this eclipse means for all signs in a very deep way. Things that I haven't shared here on YouTube. Also, Pisces, if you would like to learn astrology with me in 2024, I'm currently offering $100 off my intermediate astrology level at the Royal Stars Academy. This is just for equinox and eclipse season, so make the most of that. Head to the link in the description below and come study astrology with me. So there's 2 options for you to pursue more juicy, wonderful astrology. I hope to see you there in those spaces. But for my Patreon members, now it is time to dive deeper into eclipses in the 8th house. Moving right along, thank you, Pisces. We're now going to talk to our Aquarius rising sun or moon friends. Well, the eclipse energy for Aquarius is falling in the 9th house. What a blessed place to be having this eclipse. And this is occurring on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending where you are in the world. Full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra. And this energy is going to really help support you, Aquarius, in letting go of behaviors or beliefs that no longer serve you, that are not blessing you, that are not uplifting you. So maybe you have been invested in a religious belief for a long time. Along comes this eclipse, and it's with the South Node, you are going to let that go. You're going to break free of some old religious belief, maybe a cult-like belief that's held you trapped. This is a liberating experience, and you're going to discover it makes room for new beliefs that align more with your authenticity, with who you really are and who your soul wants to be and move into in this lifetime. The beliefs that your soul wants to embrace as part of their growth and their journey of your soul this lifetime. Very, very exciting. But there's a big need for freedom with beliefs. There's a big need under this eclipse. You're going to feel this strong drive to be free from old rules and regulations philosophically and religiously that are just dragging you down. So a lot of you Aquarius people, you're probably inclined a little that way anyhow, I have to say, but more than ever, you're going to be drawn to that. End of the line with some outdated belief system that you've carried. It's now time to broaden your horizons over the next 6 months and to change your ethics, to change your morals to something that serves you better. So we're welcoming in the culmination, the peak point of a new belief system under this energy. If you are somebody who is interested in other cultures, this can also represent sort of the end of the line with your interest in another culture. Like, for example, I'm an Australian, my partner David is American. Let's say he's been really invested and interested in Australia for some time, and which he has. But he might find, he's not an Aquarius, but I'm using him as an illustration. He might find that as a result of this eclipse, energy, he's reached the end of the line. His interest in Australia is over, and he's like, I've had enough. I think I want to get back to my roots, and or look at a different culture. I want to explore what Egypt's all about. So he starts to research Egypt or get involved in Egypt, wants to travel to Egypt, that kind of thing. So we're talking about cultures, and we've reached the end of the road with a cultural interest, or maybe some international affairs that we've been carrying out with another culture. Maybe we've come to the end of the line with that now. There's a concluding energy. And of course that makes space for the new to come on in, of course. We might also be concluding or reaching the end of an experience with some kind of a teacher or an inspirational figure or a guru type person, and it's all over. Like, we've learned all we can from them. It's time to move on to somebody else, or start learning on our own behalf. So there's a real need for freedom. We want to feel freedom, not only with our beliefs, but with regard to, our cultural allegiance, or our relationship with somebody who we saw as a teacher. We want to be free from their teaching now and start to go out more on our own. Healing is a hallmark of this particular eclipse energy. And so if you have been exposed to a teacher who has been less than stellar, somebody who has taught you things and you're like, hang on, they've led me up the garden path. I've got a couple of friends who have had, unfortunately, that kind of an experience with people they saw as gurus who turned out to be total assholes. If that is you, then this eclipse is a time when you can be healed from the wounds of that exposure to that dodgy teacher or person who pulled the wool over your eyes. You thought was a guru who was turned out to be a charlatan. So there can be some healing, deep healing that happens about that. There can be some deep healing if you've come out of a religious situation. I've been exploring alongside David, my partner. We've been looking into the exclusive brethren cult in Australia and other similar Christian cults that are present in our communities, and exploring, what's really going on there. It's so interesting. But if you find that, if you're somebody watching this and you've come out of those kinds of experiences, it's hard to break away. It leaves a lot of emptiness and wounds, because you lose your whole family if that happens. And I just want to say, if you're watching this video and that is you, this energy of this eclipse can be very healing for you. It can help you restore the soul. It can even help you find new connections, because Libra is partnership, connection, social cohesion. You might find new partnership, new collaborations, new sense of belonging that helps you get through this, new friends. So healing can occur during this eclipse activation period, and even for the next 6 months, the healing of those wounds from different cults and what have you can happen if that speaks to your story. We have also the chance to really tap into a heightened intuition. I've said that for a few of the signs. This is one of them that will receive sort of intuitive downloads, aha moments, light bulb occurrences, and just a knowledge that is power, knowledge that sets you free. So, if you read something and it just triggers something in your mind, sit with that, let that energy wash over you, use it, because that's what this eclipse wants to do. It wants to release your mind, release your knowledge, and lift you into a more powerful, blessed, purposeful existence. Ninth house is our purpose. Ninth house is meaning. And this eclipse wants to do that for you. It's quite a benevolent eclipse. Now, if you are looking for a second committed life partner, and you're a single person, this eclipse could trigger it for you. But it's likely that if that happens, you might meet somebody from a different culture, somebody from a different social or cultural background to you, or you might meet them while you're overseas, immersed in a different culture. You might suddenly fall in love with somebody of that nature, somebody from far away. That can also be the case for many Aquarian people, because this is the house of second relationship, second committed, dedicated partnership. So my friends, that's what I want to share for my YouTube viewers on what this eclipse might be bringing. If you would like to hear the extended interpretation for your sign, where we really do a deep dive into what else this eclipse is meaning for you, Aquarius, then why not join my Guiding Star Patreon family? Because there is well, I thought it was going to be a 3-hour video, but the rate this is going, it's going to be sort of more 4 to 5 hour video, going so deep and exploring really what's happening for all signs at a level that I don't do here on the YouTube channel. If you want that deep dive, come and join me. The link's in the description below. If you would like to learn astrology with me, and I hope you do, this eclipse can trigger a desire for higher learning after all, then why not join me for the intermediate astrology level? There's $100 off the usual price right now at the Royal Stars Academy. This is for equinox and eclipse season only. So head to the link in the description, come and join me for 2024, and let's learn astrology together. All right, Aquarius to Capricorn, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, Capricorn moon. The energy of this eclipse is falling in your 10th house. Capricorn, this is a special placement because it's an angular house and things manifest to a greater degree on angles. This is happening on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending whereabouts in the world you are. It's a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra. And this is saying, this is actually the parental axis. And there might be some changes that this eclipse is wanting to bring in the lives of either your father or your mother. Can be either or here. Potentially there might be issues that need addressing, or issues that need healing, issues that you need freedom from. Or there might be even some losses for a mother or a father, because this is the south node of the moon. It's about letting go. But we let go in order to create space for the new. So maybe some dynamic of the relationship you have with your parents needs to change, needs to go, so that the new relationship that comes in its place with them is better, more fulfilling, more whole. So I do see some serious change that is happening with parents here. Potentially there might be issues, losses, letting go, change that's coming with our mother-in-law as well. This is the house of the mother-in-law. So, there might be some alterations with the dynamic of a relationship you have, Capricorn, with your mother-in-law. But it's an energy of refinement. And you might be wanting to bring more harmony, more balance, more win-win outcomes into your life with your parent, a parent, both parents, or a mother-in-law as well. So seek to have those sorts of outcomes. Seek for a win-win outcome with them now. Seek harmony, seek balance, and this energy is supportive of that. Potentially, because the moon represents the maternal line, maternal figures, potentially a significant woman or female authority figure could catapult you unexpectedly into greater worldly success and recognition, Capricorn. Especially as we've got this beautiful, powerful trine from Pluto. It means a powerful woman could step into your life and change everything. Eclipses like this can bring sudden endings that are a blessing. So I think that would be a lovely outcome. That's my prayer for you, Capricorn, that is what occurs. What a great thing to happen. It is a culminating energy, the culmination of something you may have planted many moons ago, and now it's manifesting. The manifestation is at hand, but it's going to take, Libra is collaboration. It's going to take a bit of leverage with somebody else to achieve that level of success, that new job position, or that recognition on YouTube, or that job that's going to pay you double what you've already been earning, that kind of thing. It might take some leverage and help from somebody else. This is also a combination that can generate a new position of leadership for you. Out of the blue, you don't see it coming, but you get offered the chance to sort of head up the country fire authority or something, and be the chief of the fire brigade or whatever. Something happens that indicates a new opportunity for leadership. It's the end of the line. Whenever we have a full moon, it's the culmination. The moon can't get any bigger. We can't go any further. It's the culmination of some career aspiration that we've had or some trajectory we've been heading towards in our career, especially if you've got your midheaven in conjunction with this at 5 degrees. Some of you Capricorn people will really discover the career of your dreams now, your true meaning and purpose that feels like just the right fit. You might have been looking for it all your life. You know, you might be 60, 65, watching everyone else around you retire. You get an eclipse on your midheaven like this, and it's just suddenly you know what you're meant to do with your life. And I hope you get the most out of that if that's the case. So some of you Capricorn people will be finding your dream career. It's going to really bring in some healing perhaps as well of career frustrations. For many Capricorn people, you know, who've gone through their lives and they haven't achieved the career success that they aspired to or thought they would have by now, this eclipse could bring healing of that disappointment, that frustration, especially because of the trine from Pluto that is just so benevolent there, really uplifting. And of course the ruler of the eclipse is Venus, exalted in Pisces. If you are a Capricorn person who's got your own business, this is a super powerful eclipse for manifesting greater business success as well. Now, the 10th house is a house of our public image and our reputation. This combination is going to bring heightened sensitivity. This eclipse during the activation period is going to bring heightened sensitivity to your public image and your reputation. You're going to need, Capricorn, to watch out for gossip about you, difficult news about your reputation. Maybe somebody's saying bad things behind your back, okay? But generally speaking, this is an eclipse that is all about having the power, Pluto, to handle whatever the universe sends your way. The maturity, ruler of the eclipse with Saturn, down here, giving you the power, the stoicism, the endurance to say, it doesn't matter. I'm bigger than that gossip. I'm bigger than those lies that person is spreading about me. And I actually can handle whatever they're saying and come out stronger, wiser, more popular, more well-known, more honorable in my reputation. So trust that process, my beautiful Capricorn friends. It is not an eclipse that's going to leave you down low. It's an eclipse where your reputation will grow even through difficult circumstances like somebody gossiping about you and that sort of thing. Now, Capricorn, I have so much more to tell you about what this eclipse is likely to bring you. If you would like to hear the rest of what I have to say, then why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family? There is a 3 to 4 hour video there exploring in greater depth what this eclipse means for all signs, and I can't wait to tell you what's going on with this one. If also you would like to learn astrology with me, remember I am offering a $100 discount on my intermediate astrology level at the Royal Stars Academy. This is only for equinox and eclipse season. You just got to head to the link in the description below to access the syllabus or to join up and start studying astrology with me. I can't wait to see you there in that space. But now, for all Patreon members, it's time to dig deeper into Capricorn. Thank you, Capricorn. All right, moving along. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun or Sagittarius moon. The energy of this eclipse in Libra is falling in your 11th house. This is occurring on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending on whereabouts in the world you are. I talked about that in the intro. And this is a full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra. This is the 11th house. This is about friendships. And eclipses always bring change. They bring sudden endings that in this case, because of the dynamics of this particular eclipse configuration, it's going to bring a blessing. So here in the house of friendships, you might find, Sagittarius, that some of your friends are leaving your life now. They mightn't be leaving on bad terms. It's not about burning bridges. It's just that maybe they're on one side of the world and you're on the other side of the world, or it could be that you just don't have anything in common anymore, so you just naturally move apart. But that space that ending of that friendship is creating is going to allow room for new friends to come in. Not to take their place, because we have friends, and you can't replace certain friends in life. They belong to a certain era or part of our life memories and life history. But there's space for a new type of friendship to come in now. So I would just say, Sagittarius, this eclipse is going to allow you to see opportunities, allow you to see new people in your sphere that you might never have noticed before. And they're likely to be very refined people here in Libra, more elegant people, beautiful people, attractive people, people who actually probably have a lot of depth to them. Pluto trine to the moon can bring a deep sense of powerful connection to this person. You might even feel like, I know these, like this new friend, I feel like I've known them before in another life, or we just feel so deeply bonded because we see the world in the same way. We understand the world in the same way. That Pluto trine can create a beautiful intimacy with friends that you attract into your life now. And you're going to want friends that make life feel more free. You don't want people who are, putting their expectations or beliefs on you that makes you feel cloistered. It's much more of an energy of, these friends open my world up. They expand my horizons. They increase my understanding of what the world is and our place in it. So very, very exciting new opportunities for friendships and groups and networks. Now this can come through work, the networks you're making at work. It can come through your partners. Libra is partners. It could come through other women introducing you to their husbands or their their children. That increases your networks, their world in some way. They're introducing you to their world that increases your world, your networks, and your connections. Can be very, very beautiful in that regard. Now, a full moon, especially a full moon with the South Node, represents the end of the line, reaching the end of the road with some of the goals that you might have set in the past here in the 11th house. The 11th house is our aspirations and our dreams and our goals. A lot of you Sagittarius people, you're so creative, you're so talented, you have so many capabilities. And I know I have a number of Sagittarius friends actually, and their capacity for what they could do in their life is just enormous because they're so talented and so gifted. But Sagittarius, this culminating sort of peak point moon eclipse is saying that some of your goals have become a bit worn out now. Some of the aspirations you had are sort of worn a bit thin. And you might be saying, well, I think I'm going to put those to the side now. I'm going to create a whole new set of ambitions based on different inspirations, different intuition that I have in my spirit now. So I just want to encourage you in that point. Doesn't mean that when you put a goal or an aspiration aside, that's the end and it's never going to come back again. You might look into it later, but you were going to realize that some things are going to fly in life. Some ambitions are worth pursuing. Some ambitions are winning gold. And some are just never going to get there. And you kind of get an awareness of that with this eclipse. So the ones that you do set aside will probably become hobbies now. Opposite the 11th house is of our goals and dreams is the 5th house of our hobbies. Things that, don't necessarily become our source of revenue in the world. So ambitions, goals and dreams that you're going to realize that's actually more of a hobby now. And you're going to let it go into the hobby realm rather than be in the, I want to be, the next, whatever your goal or dream or ambition is. I want to be, the next Academy Award winning actress in a Baz Luhrmann film or something. You might let that go now. Time to make some new aspirations that this eclipse is going to bring about. This could also, if you have an older sibling, this is the house of an older sibling, and it could indicate that they are going through some change or some ending or some conclusion in their life because of the nature of this eclipse. They might be letting go of some old behaviors or beliefs that do not serve them any longer. They might be looking for freedom. Sometimes that feel that's going to happen relatively easily for your older sibling, but they may still need your love and support. So don't hesitate to reach out and be there for an older sibling at this time, as this eclipse may be affecting them. This is the house of benefactors, and you might encounter the right people at the right time. Probably a woman, with this eclipse being a lunar eclipse, who's going to help you accomplish your dreams and goals right now, help you generate more gainfulness in your life. You might meet her now, during the eclipse activation period, or you might already know her, but she might step up to a certain role in your life that's sort of very benevolent. Somebody contacts you and say, hey, I heard about this job in this particular organization, you should put in for that. And that changes your whole life, changes your income, changes your career trajectory, changes your networks, changes everything. That's the kind of thing we see here. Some woman has been very benevolent and blessed your life in a powerful way through this eclipse that takes you to a position of more gainfulness, a position of more, not power, but being able to receive more from what you're putting out into the world. So very exciting. Don't discount any woman that you know now who could bless your life, my beautiful Sagittarius friends. Now, I have so much more to share with you, Sagittarius, about what this eclipse is actually doing in your life. If you would like to hear the extended interpretation of this eclipse for your sign, then simply join me at the Guiding Star Patreon family. Links in the description below. There is a 3 to 4 hour video there where I go into great depth exploring what this eclipse means for all signs. And also, Sagittarius, you love higher knowledge, don't you? Well, if you would like to learn astrology with me, there's never been a better time. I'm offering $100 off my intermediate astrology level at the Royal Stars Academy, and this is for equinox and eclipse season only, so don't miss out. Head to the link in the description below and let's study astrology together in 2024. But now for all my Patreon members out there, let's dive deeper. Thank you, Sagittarius. And now, lucky last, someone who's endured to the very end of this mammoth video, my Scorpio, rising sun and moon people. Thank you for sticking with me, Scorpio. You deserve a medal. This has been a long, long haul. But I am so pleased to tell you this eclipse occurring on the 24th or the 25th of March, depending on where you are in the world, is a lunar full moon eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra, which is your 12th house. What can I say about this eclipse, Scorpio, other than hang on to your hat? You're a very psychic person because you're a Scorpio person. It's sort of par for the course. But this eclipse is going to bring so many big psychic downloads that's going to absolutely blow your mind. Make sure you've got a blank notebook ready to fill with all your insights, all your knowledge. It's also a combination that's very powerful for prophecy. So the impulses that you get, the insights, the wisdom that is revealed to you, don't discount it. It's, you should be expecting guidance in your dreams, in your visions. That's what this energy is all about. It's very, very powerful, especially with this trine from Pluto. It's really, the focus is all about getting these wisdoms from higher realms, wisdom from other dimensions, and it could really change your life. It's also, really the divine is behind the scenes pulling the strings for you. So you've really got to trust and flow and receive, Scorpio. The fates, the divine, the angels, the guides, whatever you want to call them, are handling things. It's beyond you now. So you've got to trust that whatever is happening is actually designed to take you further into your purpose, your meaning, your destiny, but you don't have any control over it. It's beyond you. This is an energy where that's very, very healing, miraculous healing. The 12th house is miraculous healing, and this trine from Pluto brings this eclipse a very healing, powerful, transformative energy. And so if you've been suffering with anything in life, it could be, health issue, but it could be psychological traumas from the past. It could be, feeling blocked and restricted in life in some way and you can't move forward. This energy can heal you of that. It can help you let go of behaviors and beliefs that are energetically holding you back. It can help you to sort of receive a miracle of change that feels like a fairy tale. That kind of energy can happen with an eclipse in the 12th house as well. The divine touches your life in some way and you are not the same again. It can be that big of a change. Sudden ending, sudden letting go is likely to occur. Why? Because the South Node is a releasing energy. The full moon is a culminating energy. Can't get any bigger. It's as far as it's going to go. And the 12th house is the last house of the horoscope, the house of finishing things up, ending things. And it's a blessed eclipse. I talked about this in the introduction, why it's so good. So I won't repeat that here. But trust me when I say, whatever is releasing now, let it go. It's got to go, so it could be an old behavior, an old belief. It could be an old relationship. It could be an old job. It could be an old home. It could be something from the past that has worn itself out and it is no longer of use to you. Let it all go. Don't cling. I mean, Scorpio, you are a fixed sign, so there is a bit of an energy of holding on. I just want to encourage you, try not to. Try to hold things lightly and just say, what is to be will be. Let it go. Because if you can do that, then you create so much space for all the blessing, the goodness, the great things to come flooding into your life now. Like I said, it's the end of the line for something from your past, an old habit, a belief, a behavior, might be some sort of childhood trauma or wounds, very powerful for letting go. But you might need to isolate in order to cope with the intensity of the letting go. So much is being released right now. You might need to take time out. You might need to rest, to sleep, or to escape in healthy ways. If you can manage, I would encourage you, Scorpio, take a couple of days off, have a holiday, have a rest, during this eclipse activation period. Go to the beach, if you can't get away, but you can spend time at home, curl up with a good book or journal, take a nice hot soak in the bath with some, beautiful smelly bath salts or whatever floats your boat, but just rest, relax, retreat, 12th house energy in its best form. Remember, this is Libra in the 12th house. Bring beauty into your retreating. Bring refinement and elegance into your retreating. Put on that ethereal classical music and some luxurious satin pillows and have a lie there and just go into dreamland, and you might be amazed at the incredible psychic downloads that come in that beautiful moment. But make it elegant, make it delightful, make it refined, candles and all the stuff, all the works, because that's what Libra energy is all about. Beautiful refinement, elegance. Bring it into your escapist practice. Do all get that energy generating for the highest manifestation of this combination. And Scorpio, you are in for a divine inspired treat. For some Scorpio people, this might mean that you're feeling compelled to go to another country. And if you are, because of the karmic nature of eclipses like this, you're probably going to be drawn back to a place where you spent your past lives. It was a place that you knew once upon a time. You get deja vu when you go there. So I wouldn't discount if you're being sort of compelled to sort of book in to go to Egypt or come to Egypt with David and myself in November, if that's the case. But if you're being compelled to visit some place that you've never seen before and you don't know why, but you just have always felt the need to go there, this eclipse might draw you there, might give you the money to go there, the opportunity, the connections, whatever it is, and you can be taken there to revisit something from the past life more often than not. And in doing so much energy can be released. So many endings happen, even deep down psychologically, and you don't know about them in your consciousness, but they're happening psychologically within you. It can be very powerful right now. So if you're drawn to do that and you have the opportunity and the means, don't ignore it. Use that energy for the greater good. My beautiful Scorpio friends, thank you for sticking with me till the end here. If you would like to hear a further interpretation of what is happening for your sign, I really go in depth with your sign Scorpio, then why not join the Guiding Star Patreon page? There I have a 3 to 4 hour long video exploring what this eclipse means for all signs in much greater depth than I have had time to go into here on the YouTube channel. So come be a Patreon member and dive deep with me into what this eclipse is all about in the 12th house for you. Also, Scorpio, if you're interested in learning astrology for yourself, currently I am offering $100 off my intermediate astrology course, the Royal Stars Academy. This is only for equinox and eclipse season. All you got to do is head to the link in the description below, find out more through the syllabus, sign up and come study astrology with me in 2024. But now, for all my Patreon members, let's dive deeper. Well, Scorpio and everybody watching this video, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of my YouTube family. May this eclipse bless your socks off. Thank you for all the blessings you've brought my way. Let's deep dive into this eclipse energy. Thank you, one and all.